trigger spring in, and then you could kind of force the trigger spring into the gearbox through that little hole, and it will actually stay in the gearbox at that point. Yeah, out of all the gearboxes, like, the version 2 is the easiest to at least have a single method to help you get the spring in. I disassembled the RPK wrong.
Well done.
And take the front receiver off.
Yeah.
Zach goes back.
Excellent.
Is the audio recording up?
It should be live right now on Twitch.
What's your Twitch name? I'll look you up.
Zacho X1000. Check and see if it works. I'm gonna check right now too.
It's gonna be. There's 6 of us, and we're gonna get 3 views, all from us.
My first result was smoke weed every day, PS4. Smoke weed every day.
And I smoke 2 joints before I smoke 2 joints, and then I smoke 2 more. Legitimate song from 19.
Smoke 2 joints before I smoke 2 joints, and then I smoke 2 more.
Smoke 2 in times of peace, and 2 more.
Yeah, it's on Twitch.
I didn't know this was to sing that song for a while. I was like, you know what? I can see it.
The opening segment of this audio of this podcast is just gonna be us singing about.
It's like a
joints.
10-second delay, but it's working.
Put down in your nose. Smoke 2 joints before we smoke 2 joints.
This is the best kickoff to any that we could have ever had to this podcast.
Now we just the water organ.
You know, it's like as soon as we put this up, we're gonna get so many people hating on us. Well, like Wingman said, for the audio quality, as well as there's gonna be like no real teching information in this podcast.
Like, if you're looking for teching information, this is not the
I call it a tech session, but like everyone who's messaged me, I don't have anything to tech on while we do these. No,
Yep, get right
we
in.
don't tech. We just talk with an airsoft gun on the screen. That's all we're doing. Occasionally, we might have something slightly useful if you put it in the right context.
Like, don't use map ever. That's
Who's Wingman 703? He's in our chat on Twitch.
Yeah, that's me. I was commenting on the wrong chat because I have like 4 windows on it.
Oh, but see, it works, right?
Yeah, it's up.
Cool. I gotta step away for a moment.
I'm hearing our Twitch on someone's speakers, and it's really weird.
gonna end up hearing it 7 times as it bounces back and forth. But yeah, Mad Bull Springs, no, stay far away.
SHS, they might as well have a lemonade stand every time they release a new product.
Go Promny, go home.
Just think emptying a box of glitter into a gearbox. That's what happens when you use a Mad Bull Spring.
That's what you do when you use a spring that has a coating on it, regardless of brand. It's just, if you're using a spring with any type of coating on it, guaranteed it's going to come off.
SHS I haven't had a problem with, but knock on wood.
What is that?
He's digging in a parts bin.
Oh, that's me. Digging through my ACM parts bin.
Yeah.
Half the parts in here are broken anyways, but I just keep them because I might need them to try out a modification at some time, and I want to sacrifice the shitty, like, double Eagles piston to that first round of modifications training rather than an SHS piston. So that's the only reason why I keep them. And sometimes they're good for just materials. They're like the perfect shape for that odd job. So that's another good reason. Ooh, a penny.
Oh, you're rich now. Just doubled your net worth.
Wow.
All the arms.
Dang.
RA4 money.
Let's call the fire department for that area.
Oh, Magpul, yeah. So, got this FAL. It's the only one that was on the market. It's the carbine length, the JG blowback. Not a week after I get it in the mail, a rifle length from ASG goes up on e-bike
Yum.
for the exact same price.
What is ASG? I don't know too much about them, but ain't they not that good?
ASG is kind of like the whole clone family.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just rebranded stuff.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's the same product. It's just that rifle length that I was wanting in the first place. It's like, well, that's been out of production for almost a year now. No sense in trying to find one. Pops up a freaking week later.
Sounds like just your luck, though. I mean, you could only expect it.
Yeah. Nobody was anticipating it, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Hey, we got 3 viewers. I'm sure that that's all of us, though, right?
It should go down to 2. I left.
What's sad is that if someone other than us is watching this, that would be the sad thing.
They would be so confused.
They would not know what's going on.
Hey, it'll at least reload the whole. It'll at least save the whole video, so you can view it later or something.
Aha! I have my paperclip. Trusty paperclip. The absolute best tool.
I'll be back in a little bit. I'll be back in a little bit.
Alright.
You were looking for a paperclip the whole time?
No, when I was rummaging through my parts bin, I was looking for a cover for that area just behind the trigger on a V3 gearbox. I have 2 of them. I found one, and then I did a second trip to find a paperclip.
Makes sense.
You guys the same issue with me closing the Zoom.
There you are.
Oh, here we go.
Piston head back on.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, the 10-year-old's back.
Wow. Not even here 5 seconds started Rose City. You guys are savage.
Yeah, I don't have enough helium. It's all going towards filling balloons for birthday parties for 10-year-olds.
Why?
No! I just broke my ARL latch. Just
How did you break an ARL?
I don't know.
Those things aren't exactly flimsy.
Been there,
Up at the gearbox.
not hard to do.
That's second piece. They're just 2 pieces now.
Nice.
I'll drop one. Whatever. I think I have a spare one. Let me check. Yes.
So this is a new record for us. We've gone for a half hour without taking a giant dump over e-bike.
Hey, that's because it started out. They got me all my stuff within 3 days of me placing the order.
So
Okay.
we're sponsored to take a giant dump on e-bike. I don't know who we're sponsored by. But bro,
I'm sorry. Tomorrow.
Who's bashing their head on the keyboard?
I don't know.
dislike it when piston heads do not fit.
What'd you say about me, son?
What's funny is that like all the names that are showing up are not our screen names on Airsoft Society, so
I have absolutely no idea what that is because of that reason.
it's like every single time we start out this with a new member, we all have to go over our names, and they're all completely different. So.
That's why you just set your avatar as your Airsoft Society avatar. Makes everything so much easier.
Well, this is my old one. That counts.
Oh, well, mine is the second best. It's the picture that I've been posting nonstop for the past week.
Yeah, I approve of that one. I still want a Master Chief suit.
Yeah, I really should finish up my speed too. I need a 3D modeling program, so actually portion it to me. And it's been what, half an hour, and we haven't smashed E-Vike yet, but we've gone off the topic of Airsoft.
Oh, you want to hear something? I will tell you a story.
Oh boy. I'll break out the popcorn.
Still,
Tell me
bitches.
about a kettlebell machine.
No, I'm just joking. I have had that experience, man. For the most part, it's been good.
It sounded like someone was trying to speak through a gallon of mud. That's all I heard.
Not too fucking good.
I hate myself.
Don't worry, 10-year-old. Your kid's better.
What's funny is I can actually picture the situation, like all of us standing in a room, and then the piston head being the 10-year-old just sitting there. Because going through Boy Scouts, there were several occasions where after I got my Eagle, I actually did some activities with younger scout troops. So these are like 14-year-old kids, and it actually is like you're sitting there talking with all the adults, and then there's like this 14-year-old in your group, and you're just kind of like, he's the odd man out in this. Sad thing is, I could actually make a very clear mental picture of how this would go down if we're all in a room together.
Lady, how many times does it take to close a gearbox game?
You know what I know what the secret is to closing gearboxes?
Not opening them.
Yeah, there you go.
Get a third hand.
Just grab one of those from the Run Center. There's a
Well,
bunch.
I can get this closed, and I can get all the pins in their places, and all the safety latches and everything. When I press the air nozzle to make sure it moves, but there is something in here that just fucks it all up.
Piston.
No,
What do you want?
Piston, alright.
System is always set, gears are always rotated correctly, everything's in its proper hole.
We just need to call Piston Head a different name, because I mean, I feel like this. By the second time he has a microphone, this is going to start to get annoying. By next week, it's going to be very annoying. Every time we say Piston.
You're killing me, Smalls. Oh, I'm like,
Oh, was that Piston Head?
Yeah, the 10-year-old Piston Head.
Oh crap! Okay, that makes much more sense. I thought somehow this group had acquired a female.
oh, God.
It's never gonna end for him.
God.
Hold on, let me fill the already. Every time Piston Head here now, I'm going to be making balloon jokes.
It's just running through my mind of who it could possibly be, because like there's only been one girl on the forum in the past 7 years, so.
That we know of.
Well,
That
actually,
we know of.
two.
There's been like 3, just like 2 of them haven't been very active.
girls in Airsoft. It's always funny at the local CQB field because they're all COD softers there. It is really hilarious when I see like someone bring their girlfriend and they're trying to act all like SEAL Team 6 throughout the entire day. It's just like it's amazing.
I can see the C clip on like the other side of the RS.
Too late for you. Game over. Oh, come on.
Well, it's funny. Out of the like 25 times I've been to a local field, I've actually only seen 7 girls, and only one of them has been like into Airsoft, but she was kicking everyone's asses.
Maybe I'm lucky because there are several girls that actually come out to my fields and play. Like, seriously.
Lucky.
Oh, yes. What I want. Oh, boy.
Just realized why I also hate working on version 3 gearboxes. The way, at least on this JG version 3 gearbox that I have, the window for the cylinder doesn't allow me to reach back and spin the sector gear around to test shimming. So,
What gearbox is this?
it's a JG version 3. I'm not sure how old it is, but...
How's there not enough room?
Well, the windows on the side for the cylinder wall, it's also because they have sausages. I can't get my finger in there and get it at an angle for me to spin the sector gear.
Oh, why don't you just use a screwdriver? That's what I do.
I try, but I'm used to doing everything by feel, especially with how the gear spins. Like when I pull it, I've noticed a lot of stuff that way. So using a screwdriver just doesn't give me the same feel. But from what I am feeling, it is a much better shim job than it was 5 minutes ago.
Everybody loves a good rim grinding shim job.
Say that again, Magpul, because I mean, it sounds like you're trying to talk through a gallon of mud every time you speak.
I'd rather not. It was filthy. It wasn't that bad. Well, I got the gearbox back together. The internal MOSFET is in there, and it should work.
In theory.
In theory. I wanted to hook up the pistol grip, shove the motor in, and see what it does.
Remember, if anything goes wrong, we have the technology to fix it.
Mm.
You have the advice of 5 random people that you've met on the internet at your disposal.
Okay, I've learned one thing throughout my life, and that's that the internet does not lie.
Bonjour.
Everything on the internet is true.
And there are people out there who will buy your used Spectre E-Clan optics for half retail price, willy-nilly, and then complain to you about the whole the amount of price they paid to you via text.
You got a good deal. You got a good deal.
I know.
To be honest, though, I really wasn't a huge fan of the Spectre. I'm not a huge fan of that sight.
It weighs so much.
It's so heavy. I put that on my main rifle, and like my main rifle, it's a long rifle build, 13 and a half inches of barrel, or sorry, of rail, and it still just felt huge, and it looked huge on that thing. It's just ridiculous.
But yeah, it's like it in itself weighs like 2 pounds.
Yeah, how do people put these on their guns and like, use them?
I just heard like the worst noise come from my motor.
Oh, I thought that was like a mag of BBs unloading.
No, that was my motor.
Motor can't be good.
I'm hoping it's the beveled pinion shimming at this point. It actually sounds more like the motor, which is a chopped down G&G balance motor. No, it's not the motor. Excellent. Okay, yeah, it's beveled opinion engagement. Oh joy. That's my Achilles heel, beveled opinion.
Yeah, same here. I'm not very good at that.
I just realized my whole compression assembly for the gearbox is in the worst color combination ever. Because I have the purple SHS piston, the red ZCI piston head, with the orange tappet plate cylinder head and nozzle from an SRC, and then kind of an oxidized brass cylinder, and it looks so disgusting as a color combination.
It's like a sleeper gun for airsoft techs.
It's just terrible. This color combination. And it's also got that nice light coating of blackness to it that used have. It's terrible.
Hey, you know the next. You need a
I need
hot
some
HSL.
on this. That's right. Yeah, the funny thing is with all the silicone oils I got, one of them's clear, one of them's purple, and the other one's bright red.
Purple would be the way to go. That would be the only one I would use. I don't care which weight it is.
That's the 100 weight from TLR.
I'd use it all.
Really
I'd use gear grease, and honestly, I'd probably brush my teeth with it. I like the color.
It does lose a lot of color when you start applying it,
That's what
but
it is.
it's still got enough color so that when it's sitting there in the bottle, it looks amazing. Yes.
That's what it matters. Airsoft is like 90% show, so.
Curious question: what do you guys do with lipos?
Huh?
What do we do with our lipos?
What do you charge them with?
A charger?
Oh, I have
Usually,
yeah.
Look for a little bit more specific than that.
I use one of those Tenergy smart computerized chargers.
I have the Tenergy ActiveCell 6.
Yes, that's the one that I use.
An IMAX B3. It's a piece of crap.
I had the Chinese knockoff of the B6 that I plugged the 6 cell into it, and it literally blew up a chip.
Nice.
The power of 6 cell, baby. You know how those old commercials? That's the power of pine saw, baby. I just need one that's the equivalent of a 6 cell. Just the 6 cell sitting on something. That's the
Here we
power of
go.
6 cell, baby.
No promises.
No promises. That's what I'll name the 6 cell light.
Sounds a little bit screechy. Ugh.
Not too bad.
It doesn't sound too bad at all.
Especially when you consider mic quality.
Yeah, phone mics.
That's with the
Take
Chinese Magpul grip as well, which everybody always complains about having bad angle of engagement or bad motor alignment.
I feel like half of that, more than half of that, is just hearsay and rumor, and nobody actually checks it. They just assume it's bad.
No, I've had one be bad
Tell
for me.
someone else.
And I looked over it and I tested it, and it didn't look too bad. I mean, it really, I couldn't notice the difference. Yeah. Well, I'm going to count that good, even though it's a little bit screechy, and I'm going to put this gun together so I can fire it for the first time in a while.
I actually find that leaving that like 5% of extra noise in the gun does make it sound, can make it sound really good, like when it's being used in the field.
Yeah.
Which I've been shot at by my own M4, which I think has a slight dying cat sound to it. But I mean, from 20 feet away at the muzzle, when someone lights it on full auto with it, it actually sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
They can't hear you over the full auto and they keep spraying, but yeah, sounds cool.
Mine typically, if it's bad, like a chipmunk in a blender.
I just forgot that everything was still wired up. I have my gearbox, the motor detached but wired, and then my
Who's
lipo.
drawing on my screen again? Who is doing this? What are you doing this for? Get out of here. Get out of here. You did this. Stop.
Sounds like somebody's getting shot.
Oh, so that just reminded me of the greatest story. So normally, most of the summer games that I play have been hosted at a friend's house because he has like a 3-acre field right behind his house. So we'll go there, we'll start playing around. But one time we kind of on there's a side access road. We were going down there, and he drives up past us with his car, with his younger brother holding onto the roof. I am blasting.
Smart.
What the heck is with Justin's picture? His video feed. It's weird.
Dude, somebody's drawing on my screen and I don't know who it is. I'm just letting it happen.
We can,
I first noticed that when
we can do that? I didn't know that.
Whoever it was, someone, I forgot who it was, but they drew the Grim Reaper on my screen. I went with
I think
it.
I was in Reaper last time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, my gears look so good drenched in red silicone oil.
Okay, so new issue. This closed up the FAL gearbox. It's just a generic. It's a blowback model, but it's a JG V3. It's got 13-to-1 ZCI high torque, 50 spring, and on full auto it turns over just fine, like as it should. But on semi, it gets locked up and only cocks the piston back like an inch per trigger pull.
Check
That's
your
an issue with the
trolley.
trigger contact.
Yeah, check your trigger contact in the trolley. Make sure it's doing a full cycle.
You might be able to quote unquote fix it by how you pull the trigger, like pulling it sharply or pulling it slowly, or if nothing else, I'll point you in a correct direction.
Yeah, but you don't want to do that while you're on the field. Like, what if you pull it?
No, not on the field, but while you're working on it.
Oh, you mean to see the problem? Yeah. Yeah, you can see the problem if you find it's with your trigger pulling on semi like that. That paint just looks so funny.
Yeah, I don't know what the objective is here.
So like here it is. And it's nothing crazy, but you can actually see the piston really well. But on semi-automatic, okay, full shot completion now. What the crap? There we go. But on full auto, it does just fine.
Is it shooting and then
On full auto, there's no cutoff. The cutoff's when you
Yeah.
let go of the trigger.
So that eliminates the power system and motor system. I mean, it's got enough torque and it's got enough power, so it's got to be in the semi-auto.
It's probably has to do with your trolley. If you barely pull the trigger, and sometimes if you pull the trigger fast, or sometimes you hold the trigger stiff, I mean, that's where I would look.
Okay, I'm gonna try a slow pull.
What you can do is take it apart, put just the trolley in there with the trigger pull system, the shutter, and just check it by itself without any other gears other than the sector, and you can tell if it's functioning right or not. I'm pretty sure that's what your problem is, though, because it sounds like it's telling it to stop before it gets a full cycle, probably.
Okay, a gradual pull doesn't recreate the problem. The only time it happens is if I'm pulling it very quickly.
Yeah, that's probably trolley problem. That's
Yeah,
notorious.
I'm gonna pull it apart and just put those parts back
But
in.
but to do anything about that, it kind of sucks. Like the mod for that, you got to put like a nail or something metal inside the trolley, and
Oh,
then
I have actually done that mod. It's yeah, it's not easy, but if you do it correctly, it's actually really fulfilling.
yeah, it's
Because
very. If you make it reliable like that, it's very awesome feeling.
yeah, after you get done with it, it'll last you forever. It's amazing.
You want to be careful though,
Endeavor.
because if you use a Dremel to cut that trolley, if you use a Dremel to cut the trolley, it'll melt fast. So you got to be careful with the trolley. Some of those plastics are very susceptible to the heat.
I was thinking about getting a Lonex contact set and just dropping those in, seeing if it changed.
You
Usually
don't
that
want to
works,
do that.
But not always.
It's not worth it because you got to understand. Okay, what brand is the gearbox?
It's just JG.
Yeah, more than likely, usually when you put in new shuttle that's not the same brand, it's usually the specs are a little different. So when you put it in there, you may get a different result. You may have only full auto as example. You pull the trigger.
Is it a V2?
No, it's a V3. It's out of an FAL.
Alright, because I got a JG shell with a Lonex shuttle right here, actually. It's V2, though.
Well, the reason I was considering that is because I was having not the exact same problem, but semi-auto was giving me a pain, and it was in a Cyma MP5K, and I put Lonex contacts in there, and it runs beautifully now, both modes.
It all depends on where the cutoff lever and the trolley intercept each other. That's all it depends on. You can fix it without putting a brand new part in there. You just have to physically see the problem and then do the modification, and then it will work fine.
That is fabulous.
I guess I just don't really understand what I'm looking for.
Okay.
If the fast pull does, slow doesn't.
I'll explain it. The cutoff lever. You know what the cutoff lever is, right? It goes up, it hits the sector gear. The sector gear hits it. Okay, well, it could be a problem with the sector gear, the cutoff lever, or the trolley, or even the trigger. You have to look at all four of the parts. But basically, what's happening is it's probably pulling it too soon. My guess. So you gotta put just the trolley in, just the trigger, the spring to the trigger, the sector gear, and the cutoff lever in, and you want to do a test. You want to turn the sector gear and hold the gun on semi-auto, and when you cycle the sector gear, it should force the cutoff lever to pull up the trolley, and you can see when it's pulling up at that moment. Just put in the four main pieces: the sector gear, the cutoff lever, the trigger with the spring, and the trolley parts, the shutter parts, excuse me.
Yeah, I'm still pulling it apart right now. Other than that, this thing is running great. It seems to have great compression.
Well, those trigger problems are always a pain in the ass, because it could be so slight. I mean, it could be plastic that had broken off, and now it doesn't function properly, so you got to put metal there. Could be the cutoff lever's worn down.
Well, you know, on V3 triggers, they have that extra piece that goes up into the trolley from the trigger, right?
You mean length, or you mean some part?
No, it's that extra silver slider piece.
The pivot piece?
Yeah. Well, on this particular gun, the tooth that sits on top of that piece is super long. I don't know if that has anything to do with this or not, but it just doesn't look like any others I've seen.
Are you talking about the cutoff lever? It's got a little bit of an extra long dip versus a...
No, I'm talking about, here. Should have a... Like, you see the tooth on top of there? That thing just seems super long to me compared to AK style ones.
Oh, that. You really don't want to mod that.
No, I wasn't thinking so, but it just seemed off.
No, that's to help reach the trolley and pull it. You have no problem pulling your trolley because it's cutting off power, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so you definitely don't want to mod that. That should be fine. What you probably want to mod is the trolley itself or the cutoff lever. But to tell, you want to put the parts in there so you can physically see where the problem is.
Yeah. I'm just getting my shims where they need to be.
I might pull up a video for you. I have to do it on another computer though.
Okay.
Aha, the day is mine.
I'll be off for a second.
Okay. So did we lose Raven? Is he still
Well, I
around?
got the lower back together. There she is.
There.
Today. Let's throw this upper on and call it good.
We're so professional.
We are.
Yeah. You can tell by the audio quality.
Yeah.
So encountered the problem that we had, the exact same problem that we had last week, and we were trying to get a monocle in. So Parmesan, one of the members, got back to me, but I still can't get him in a call because it's showing up in my contacts, and I can't invite him. So
Yeah,
either
like
I'm gonna have
he
to.
DM'd me like 5 minutes ago and was like, "Hey, when's this stuff starting?" I was like, "It's been going for an hour."
Yeah, so either I'll have to either bounce him off of one of you guys to see if one of you can get him in, or we're gonna I'll have to start a call with him, and then you guys are gonna have to join it.
So send his info to me. I'll see if I can add him.
Okay.
Just put it in the chat or something. Not like we're
Okay.
gonna go stalking.
You watch, he'll be a serial killer. He just gave away somebody's life.
If there was gonna be a serial killer, I mean, they would probably track our IPs and have done it by now. And I think I see an SUV, a strange SUV, pulling into my driveway right now.
You could have a side of sociopath and just like enjoy the longevity of the hunt.
It says free camping.
Are we leaving or something? I heard somebody say something.
No, stay here. Do not leave.
Yeah, I'm trying to get someone else in the call, so I'm gonna see if they could. I'm gonna send their information over to Wingman, so he can try to get them back in. We had the same problem last week trying to get a Major Monocle to join. It was unfortunately my phone wouldn't recognize that he's in my contacts list, even though he was for like a day and a half. And so we had to completely restart the call.
Zacho, somehow that Twitch channel is like 100 views. Not people, but views. I don't even know how.
Well, who keeps viewing
Various
it?
people. Various people.
I went
have
there
stopped
and there
in
were
at
still
some point.
only 2 people, so Someone's hitting
So
refresh
apparently there are
100
people like
times.
buzzing in and out.
No, because I didn't
Alright,
see anybody come in or out.
The counter's not instant. It only updates like every X amount of time.
Really? Because every time I've used it,
Okay,
it's
I put those
instant.
trigger parts-
When I'm
Someone tell
doing
me-
my own channel, I don't know. That's weird. I'll have to go back and check.
Hey, so who's gonna try to get Parmesan in on this? Would it be Wingman?
Yeah, if I can figure out Google Hangouts, it'll be like 10 hours.
Anyone else?
You want me to just invite him here?
He's been in my contact for an entire day.
Hosting broadcast.
my
I don't want to
phone
mess
will
up
not-
anything.
But my phone will not allow him. The app, my phone is just really strange on how it will automatically update itself like every 2 hours with Google Plus and all that stuff. But like in my contact list, when I try to invite him to a call, it will show my contact list. He is not in that contact list, and it takes like 5 days for my phone to acknowledge a new contact, which pisses me off.
Wow.
Okay, I've got these trigger parts back in, and running the test, it is so stinking slight the amount of time it takes for the cutoff to lift the trolley. It's like not long at all. Like we're talking 1 tooth length or so on the step side.
You're supposed to look at. I'm pulling up my video right now. You're supposed to look at when the sector gear turns, and then when the trolley actually hits off. You have to compare very precisely. If you make a mistake, then you screw up the way it works. If you're removing anything, if you're adding material, then you make it so you could it doesn't shoot at all. It'll be blocked from being cut off. Can possibly break your trolley. So you have to, the mod itself, you have to know exactly what you're doing and see what's exactly wrong before you do the modification. Is that a sign of, oh my god?
Oh my god, what have I gotten into?
Has anyone
Praise
else
God.
besides me and who else was it has done this mod?
Magpul.
Yeah, I've had to do it, and it's a pain.
Okay. Just trying to see if there was multiple people that could have said something good about it. I mean, it's an advanced mod, and you definitely need to know what you're doing. That's for one thing. You need to understand the parts before you do the mod.
I just want to be
Or you need to
sure.
have a bin of ACM parts to practice on.
I may not be thinking of the same mod. Is this the modification of the trigger trolley?
Yeah, it's probably the trolley. You may have to add material, you may have to remove material.
Okay, if it's the one where you, because that's what I did. I had to set a screw into the trolley, Dremel/file it down until it replaced the area
Yeah.
where the plastic.
Yeah, that's if, for instance, you have full auto, and you want it to be semi-auto, you can notice that the cutoff lever is not functioning properly, hitting no material. So you add metal to the trolley, and now it hits that metal piece, and the trolley's able to go up.
Oh, so it's like a hair trigger mod.
Yeah, it's
You
very
extend
similar,
the,
but you're fixing the issue is what it is.
Hey, Will's on.
Hello.
Alright, that is Piston Head. Sorry, Parmesan.
No,
from
that's
the
not Piston Head.
Yes, indeed. I am Parmesan.
I don't know why I keep screwing up names. I should
Don't worry,
know.
there's only like 8 people in here.
That thing is, I should know because I set this whole thing up.
You're gonna be really bad at like IDing all of you.
Oh yeah, we
Well-
have to introduce everybody.
Alright, so this one right here is Raven.
Okay.
I'm Wingman, in case you couldn't tell.
Alright.
Anyone else gonna continue with the introductions?
None of you
Oh,
know
hi.
who I am, and I'm leaving it this way.
I thought we were gonna start from the left. I'm all the way on the right, aren't I?
It's like, it's
Well, I just went. I'm all the way on the right. Actually, there's two of me.
Oh, you know what? I think it puts naturally yourself all the way to the right, right?
Okay, so the person on the far right always starts.
Okay.
That's everybody.
All at the same time, let's go.
And this is why I hesitate to call it a tech podcast. Moments like these.
I want some quality notes of this session. They better be spot on or I'm gonna be pissed.
It's on
Oh, don't
Twitch.
worry,
You don't
these
need no
notes are
notes. You
spectacular.
just watch the video.
Okay, I will ask again. What is Twitch?
It's a live
It's
stream.
an online streaming service for the people who want to stream stuff live.
Somebody's been
So
living under a
most
rock for
commonly
the
it's
last
used-
2 years.
So it's for streaming, so people can see what we're doing.
Yep,
Yes,
that's
a
right.
lot of
FBI is
MLG.
watching you.
So somebody right now in like India could be watching me.
Yes.
Great. This is
It's
just
also
what I-
all the a lot of the clips that I've seen of like high viewed Twitch streamers. They tend to be girls for obvious reasons.
I wonder why. Oh wait, no I don't.
So let me. So who's the person who's actually like doing real teching here?
Me. I'm
Probably
attempting.
nobody.
Well,
Maxwell,
I'm
man.
attempting to get my RPK working.
I'm
Right over
totally-
here. I'm working on one of my rifles right now.
Oh, alright.
I mean, if we weren't actively teching on stuff and having problems and issues, this would not be Airsoft related at all. That's the least I could say.
Hey,
about
did
this.
John leave? Looked like John left.
Which John?
I don't know. There's usually 3 Johns. The guy that we were talking to about his trigger trolley,
That's Infidel.
the other Zach. Did he
Oh, yeah.
disappear?
He's probably getting something.
Yeah, he had to.
Yeah.
He posted something in the message that I had to step away for a bit.
He said his phone was too hot. Whatever that means.
Oh. When a phone overheats, my sister has the same problem. Her phone overheats. It just goes to work. Now, there are times where I've actually seriously considered selling several of my airsoft guns, but then I sit down and tech on them to fix the problems that they have, and I completely change my mind about selling them because of how much work I've put into them. It's just like, no.
Wait till you have some family that just like when you turn your head, they touch it and start messing with it behind your back, and then you're just like, okay, I'm done with this.
Thankfully, I only have one sister in the house, and she stays out of my room, and there's no need for me to have one of those 90s punk keep out skulls and crossbones signs. Although, speaking of that, I did just I found an old speaker system and laying around a computer and started blasting some of my some 41 stuff like that before the podcast started. And I have the bass right at my feet, so it shakes my ear.
I need an O-ring.
My gun sounds terrible. Just so terrible. I don't know why. You know what? I think I might have. I have an inkling on what it might be. It might be that the pinion is sitting a little high on the shaft. So I'm just gonna take a hammer and a wrench or a pair of pliers, whatever might be necessary, and hit it.
Why don't you just wrap your gun in plastic wrap?
Because it's great.
Put a lot of soundproofing around it. Make it look like a big block.
No, I don't want to get sued by Glock. Glock legitimately, they sued companies that made soap replicas of their guns. No
That's
joke.
hardcore.
And they released their patent, and so many gun websites just had a field day with like Glock kept citing their patent, and their patent literally describes a box that shoots bullets. And so many gun websites did like these collages of all these other guns throughout history that fit that same description of they have an angular. One of the funny things was from both the slide had an angular shape similar to that of a rectangle. That was the terminology they used in their patent, and that applies to so much stuff.
I wish you would just jump on the licensing train like H&K does. H&K is rolling in the money from all the licensing they
Might have glued this pinion on.
Is it moisture or heat that causes super glue to cure?
Moisture.
Mm.
I want to say it just depends on the type of glue. Some glues,
No, he said super
I want
glue.
to say super glue, but I know there are different super glues. There are different super glue brands and formulas. I know. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head what the different types are.
I use Crazy Glue personally.
I use the Loctite brand.
Plastic surgery. That super glue is the best when you're trying to put two pieces of plastic together.
I'm gluing together a two-piece hopper to make it a one-piece hopper. I'm switching receivers. It's super cheap.
Oh, the pinion did move a little bit. It's about a half a millimeter.
D-type or no type?
10th. O-type, so I'm just bashing it with a hammer. Well,
Is there
when I say
glue
hammer,
on
I
it?
mean the handle. Plastic.
Is it glued on
I
there?
might have put glue.
Then just heat
I
it
might
up.
have.
Get a lighter and it'll come right off.
No, I'm trying to push it further down the shaft because what I think this was cut down from a long type. It's a G&D balance motor. So I may have accidentally left a couple millimeters on. So I just need to get the pinion seated down a little bit further.
Wait, wouldn't you epoxy,
So that-
not super glue the pinion on? I thought epoxy was the way to go and not super glue it
The
on.
pinion, honestly, once the pinion gets put on more than a couple millimeters onto the shaft, you actually, this one at least, I need to take a hammer and start aggressively, not hitting, but
all
it's more than a
depends.
tap.
I've seen some of them come off like they just fall off, but it depends.
Well,
The tightness.
D-type's super loose, but he's probably got an O-type.
Yeah, but
It's
some
an O-type.
O-types can just fall off. Trust me. it
Yeah,
just
this one-
depends on the
this one's not
tightness.
gonna fall
That's all it comes down to.
I wouldn't doubt it.
I never have been a fan of that whole press-fitting, O-type pinion stuff.
It's better to have the D pinion and to epoxy it on. That's a guarantee, way to go.
Yeah, D-type over O-type every day.
But I know the one problem with the D types is you can't machine them. They're cast. So you are limited in what kind of materials, the quality of the materials that you can use.
But if you're stripping pins, you probably have other problems.
Yeah. Well, I did have a JG Red pinion after 50. No, it was more than 50,000. It was through 3 guns, 5 different shim setups. Must have been close to 70,000 rounds by the time the pinion on it stripped. But it wasn't necessarily a strip, it almost crumbled. once it went, it just kind of completely crumbled apart, which I found very odd.
The only one I've ever had break on me through fault, not on my own, was a classic Army O-type, and it just broke a tooth off and it ended up locking up the gearbox. It was in an MP5. Other than that, I've never had a pinion break on me.
I've had a couple
Yeah, I
that
got
spiraled.
Oh, how have those worked out?
The spiraled ones?
Yeah.
No, I meant they spiraled, is what I meant. If you looked at it, you know how a pinion gear is supposed to have all straight teeth? It had a spiral looking because the material's too weak. And I was using, like, I think I was using an M190.
The teeth warped.
Yeah. They still tried to go, but they looked spiraled at the end of it. I was like, what the heck?
I think it spiraled because I know a couple weeks ago, no, close to a month ago, Evike released that Lonex spiraled bevel and pinion set.
Yeah, I've seen that. I was talking about the pinion gear. Just it wasn't a hard enough material, so it just started to warp as it was being used.
That's funny that it wouldn't break at that extreme of a warp.
It just didn't break. It just warped. And then at that point, it got harder to cycle. And so I opened it up and I saw the pinion gear and I was like, what the heck? And then I knew it was that material. Don't use that material for those big springs.
I remember in Van Avery's, like, what makes a high-end AEG, they were actually talking about, like, well, why don't manufacturers list what kind of material, even like G&P and a lot of the what we associate as the higher end airsoft gun companies, like, why don't they list what material they're using in
They may not even know what it is themselves. It's all mixed together. It's just pot metal.
Yeah. It's all from the same OEM.
I mean, we are talking about a sub $500 mass-produced product.
Yeah. So you would think they would at least be able to tell you what kind of, beyond metal,
Well, the other thing is the
alloy.
severe lack of direct buying. Like, pretty much everybody goes through a freaking retailer of some kind, and they always screw up the descriptions.
That's
Well,
true.
not just that, but even on company websites.
Well, company
Even
website,
like,
E&G's website is terrible. They have so many discontinued
Yeah.
things that they make to look current.
yeah, my opinion is way too tight. It's riding too high on the axle. Yeah, shit, I cut this axle poorly. I mean, the top of it has like a millimeter play between the anti-reversal
Zachary,
latch catches.
Sorry, I didn't hear you because the other guy was talking at the same time. Bert was talking.
God, Bert.
Hey, Wingman, you can finish.
I wasn't actually talking.
Who was talking?
It was you. It was Steven.
I know, but someone else was trying to talk. But
We will kill you.
anyway, finishing up my thought. I cut the axle on this too long, so it has like a millimeter clearance between the anti-reversal latch catches on the bevel and the very top of the axle. So that's terrible. I do shit work. This is why I don't do tech services for hire.
Could just file it
People
down or
ask me.
something, couldn't you?
I'm just gonna try to bash the pinion lower onto the axle.
Oh
because
no,
that's
don't
faster.
do that. Don't do that.
Just gonna push it farther.
Dude,
Oh,
figure
don't-
hand
Don't
fixes
do
everything.
that, dude. I've actually seen a pinion break. The further and further you go down sometimes. I've seen it actually break. I was putting it in my adjustment tool, whatever that's called, the pinion pulley, and I just kept
Puller.
putting it on, and I heard, and then I looked, and it was broken. You don't want to push it too far first. If anything, what I learned from experience, you want to file it down, cut off the excess, and then make sure it fits on there snugly. Too tight, you can break it. Especially because you don't know what material those pinion gears are.
Well, it's magnetic, so it's some form of steel. Know that much.
Yeah, what if it's half steel and half something else?
Well, yeah, I did use up all my luck on that Evike order, so I'll do it the safe way. But the safe way is boring. It requires me to go to the garage and miss out on this wonderful information-filled conversation we're having.
Yes.
Okay,
That's one.
so I was asked a question, but I didn't hear it.
How long ago?
Like a minute ago, and it never came back up.
Oh yeah, well I was talking about the bevel. Yeah, someone said something and no one ever finished that.
Well,
So
Stepped out. I was asking Zach what my plan of attack on the trolley should be at this point.
Which person's asking, so I know?
This is info, Zach.
I'm asking myself? What?
Yes, you are.
infidel. Alright, I'm gonna take a quick leave while I fix this.
Your plan of attack, I'm watching my video right now, see if it clearly shows what you should be looking for.
Okay.
There it is, boys. Fully reassembled. Glorious. Ugh. Alright.
Which video is that? I think I've watched it before. I just don't remember what the title of it is.
The one I'm looking at is fixing auto to semi-auto or something like that. Let me see. It's called fixing semi-automatic to not fully automatic.
Okay.
Well, I have plenty of videos that are very similar to this.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
you have like 3 or 4, if I remember correctly.
Dude, Zach has a ton of videos.
I've got like 600 videos.
Well, I was talking about referring to specifically trolley stuff.
Yeah, I understand. I was just saying that I think I have like 600.
Yeah.
I would have a
I have-
lot more, but I haven't done
They're
anything
all-
for over a year. 2 years? No, it hasn't been 2 years. A year and a half.
I watched quite a few of them for my senior project. I think I watched like 15, 16 of them or something.
Well, there's hundreds of tech
Oh yeah.
videos.
Oh, I just started looking through the list. I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to watch all these. Holy crap!
Dude, there's so much information though. Like, if anybody sat down and watched all those videos, they would learn so much.
It's kind of sad how few views they have for all that's there.
It's just that way. You know, it was another reason why I kind of slowed down. Was just the views were so low. It's kind of upsetting. Like, make so many videos and then just no views.
You know, so much knowledge and no concern.
No one cares about teching on their gun. They want somebody else to do it.
Yeah, at this point I do.
I keep on forgetting about that 10-year-old.
There he is.
He just like pops out out of nowhere.
Is he really 10 and he's teching a gun? There's no way. He's not 10 and teching a gun and in the chat. Come on.
Working a computer by himself. What?
Okay, that's more than pro, man.
This is unruly.
When you get to my age of 30 and you're still teching, you're going to be, I don't know, the master of techs. The best tech out there. You'll shim a gearbox like less than 5 minutes somewhere.
Glad to know I'll be still playing with toy guns when I'm 30.
Dude, they're worse hobby.
It'll probably be very different, but I wouldn't doubt it though.
I would fully expect the HPA market to take over. Like in 30 years?
You know, in my opinion, there probably will be something a little nicer than the Polar Stars
There
coming
will
out.
be in 30 years, yeah, or 20 years, yeah.
You're gonna have like
Right now,
magazines
the
that are
only
full
thing
of
holding them
air,
back
so you don't have to carry a
cars.
tank around.
But you can't hold that much.
That's
Unless you do
That's
like
true,
liquid
but like
oxygen or something.
maybe you only need 30 or 50 rounds in the mag, and you just switch between the mags. I don't know. There could also be something where they put some pressure in the gun and then some pressure in each mag, and that allows you to run it. I don't know. Just a theory
There's not very
thought.
much volume in that though.
You
I want
know,
to see a mini compressor in a gun.
yeah.
I
I
don't
used to
think you
think
want
the
to see a mini compressor in a gun.
But ever since I've seen all this hate and all this lash out against it, which I don't understand personally, but ever since I've seen that, I'm kind of, haven't seen them saying a whole lot. But
Really, the only thing holding it back from taking off more than it is just the cost.
nice, yeah, absolutely.
Well, I think also
That fact you need
people like to tech their guns, and then you get something like that, you're not going to really be teching your gun that much.
Well, some people also like to be able to use their gun without having to find some place that fills scuba tanks. Especially inland, that's going to be kind of hard to find.
Oh boy.
Zach, are you getting that video?
I'm on my phone. I don't think I could run both at the same time.
Okay.
So I'm just fiddling with some other stuff right now.
Do I got you on Skype? I don't know if I do.
I think you do. Hang on, I'll be right back.
But we need to bring up some other tech stuff, guys. Somebody start talking about something great.
I'm thinking about DSGing an F2000.
Mhm.
I'm just the voluming, because like there's no V7 gearbox. 400 barrel.
I couldn't understand anything you just said. Your mic really went out.
Yeah, I cannot hear a word of that.
All right, take two.
Take two.
There's no bore up for the V7, so I'd have to go with a 9-tooth because it's a 455 millimeter long barrel.
Why don't you just cut the barrel down, or just put in a smaller barrel?
I can, but I like the longer barrel because going even down to a 9-tooth, I can go to like 300 millimeters.
Everyone always wants to get as much little air in the barrel as they can, and as long barrel as they can.
I mean, if I can, why not? I mean,
It gives better accuracy, right?
theoretically.
Theoretically.
I mean, measuring it, that's harder.
Well, you should just make the barrel as long as wherever the enemy spawns, and then you won't miss your shot.
Oh yeah.
But then I'd be within my med, wouldn't I?
Hey, I did see a long time ago, I saw somebody take a gearbox, and they put 2 sector gears in it, and two spots for the gun to shoot double the BBs at the same time. Have you guys seen that?
No, what the fuck are you saying? No.
I want a link.
What he did was he took I think 2 motors, if I remember, or no, he took 1 motor, and he made I'm trying to remember what it was. He combined, and he made a new gear. He made a new gear that went between them. So I think he was using 1 motor to make 2 sector gears run. It's been a long time since I've seen it. See if I can find it.
Those poor brushes.
That must have been a seriously custom gearbox.
I think he put two gearboxes right next to each other. If I
Oh,
remember,
okay.
he put two gearboxes right next to each other, and then he made a gear that goes between the two sector gears, or the bevel gears, I think it was. He put like a
Yeah,
Or
you
you
could
could-
like link the bevel gears.
yeah, I think
That would
he
work.
linked the bevel gears, but then he ran one motor somehow. I don't remember. I just thought like if you can go ahead and mess around like that, why don't you start making some really cool parts? Let's see if I can
At
find that
point, why
video.
not just duct tape two guns together?
Yeah, it
How
kind of
would he
makes no
use this
sense.
motor? Wouldn't one gearbox be running in reverse?
No.
Might be kind of hard to find the video from this point.
Yeah, what do you even search? Double airsoft gearbox.
I don't know. The guy who was making the gear for it, he had it working at the end of the video. It was pretty crazy looking. It was out of country though. It was not in the United States. It was somewhere else, I think. Yeah, I don't know by this point if I'm ever going to find that video.
I've never even heard of anything like that.
No, I saw it about over a year ago. I was just traveling through videos and I was like, hey, what's this? Clicked on it and this guy started taking apart a gearbox and then he was making a gear. And I was like, what is he doing? And then he put two gearboxes together and one motor. I was like, okay, that's really unique.
The closest thing I can think of that is like the dual Polar Star bodies in a Nerf gun.
Well, she's working good. The R-Hop is doing decent. Actually, it's my first R-Hop. It took me a while, but I finally got into R-Hops.
They're worth.
Yeah, no, they're definitely worth it. I mean, this was a really shitty install, and it still does pretty damn good. On a 247 millimeter barrel as well, or 267.
I just realized, is Raven gone?
Yeah, he's gone for now. That's why it's so quiet. Don't tell him I said that.
Bless you.
So what do you guys do if you have a really, really floppy bolt release on an M4? Because I just jammed tape under mine next to the gearbox, but is
Yeah,
there something you're
what I
supposed to do? Okay.
That's what I did. Dude.
Alright, so what's happened while I
Does
was
anyone
gone?
else start just putting tape in all kinds of weird spots on their guns, like right after they get them? Just because
I don't-
stuff like rattles and stuff.
I don't always add tape. Sometimes I add material. It depends.
I don't always add tape. Sometimes I add material.
I don't always add tape, but when I do, it's the discount Harbor Freight electrical tape. Well, I made the mistake of pulling the motor magnets somewhat close to a bunch of metal, and now in the can itself I have some metal chunks that I'm trying to fish out using another magnet.
Yeah, not gonna work.
Just a couple.
You know, at that point, you should just take the whole thing apart just to be on the safe side. Check it over again.
I really don't want to do that because I just finished.
You're gonna end up with You're gonna end up with a broken motor, and then when you open it up inside, you're gonna see some material in there you didn't get rid of.
Yeah, it's looking like that.
Is that how you normally add material, or?
No, but that was funny. You put magnets on your gun, and then you wave it around your spare parts, right? And all this material adds to it, and then you're done.
That's how you keep parts from rattling, because there's so many parts rattling that they kind of settle
I
in.
would do that with a
and
plastic
create
gun
the
to,
perfect
give
hole.
more realism.
You know, that would sound so sick, though. Like, your gun rattles, but now has a bunch of parts on it that make it rattle worse. You go to shoot it, people would be scared. They'd be like, what the hell is that?
Be more worried if it's starting to shoot metal at them from it falling apart.
Oh, so if we're on that topic, what do you guys think of the metal .88 BBs being used?
The what?
The what?
The ceramic,
Your audio
not
cut out.
ceramic, the metal ball bearings. They're like .88 of a gram, and they make them in 6 mil for all the snipers.
That's just a bad idea waiting to happen. It is a bad idea. It's not waiting to happen, but you know.
Sounds painful.
Yeah. Sounds like you're gonna break goggles left and right with those.
Where do I buy? I'm just kidding.
Amazon.
I don't actually know.
Amazon.
You'd probably feel right. Airsoft sniper.
Where'd you buy?
Yes.
Harry
So my
goes
opinion fits.
to metal BBs forever. I don't even know why they put those up.
All these extra wires, though.
Yeah, they've came out with paintball BBs now. Where do I buy?
I think those have been out for a while.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can buy exploding BBs. You legitimately can. They have these real. You have to buy them from shady Chinese websites, but
I would imagine you would.
that's
They're
the occasion.
fun.
Just like all your fake Magpul.
Hey, you watch it.
But no, shadier than that. But I've actually. It's like I'm sure we saw organs on the same website. You just have to know the right username.
Does anybody want a blown nuke set?
You find exploding BBs right next to the spare livers. Made in the same
But yeah.
facility.
They're made in the same facility.
Yep.
But my science jumped on this whole manufacturing livers then.
Wonder if
Yeah,
anyone's
but
ever
I've
made
seen
exploding BBs.
like they're like $10 for 120 rounds or something. They're really expensive,
Yeah.
but they are really cool.
They also explode, so that's cool. Yeah. No big
Yeah.
deal. Wait, BB, you rocking the explosive ones?
Yeah, explosives. Hold on, guys. I gotta take out that armored target.
Hooked up frag rounds don't matter. No big.
I think the only legitimate gun that you could use them in is one of those cheap Yeah, the M85s. You know, the 50 cals. That would be like the only legitimate one you could run them in, because otherwise everything's just like, nah, that doesn't work.
Do
Nah,
you
that's
guys
too
have like
stupid.
special strategies for not dropping small pieces of plastic on your floors, or just
Uh,
like work in all white
don't be a
workshops?
klutz. Like that.
Well, I got carpeting, so the pieces tend to stick where they land. But then the problem is, I gotta find where they landed in the first place, which usually involves me hand over until I get stabbed. So it's also shag carpeting. If you drop a screw, it will hold on to the screw regardless of what kind of magnet you use to pick it up. It's terrible.
Whenever I drop something, it always hits my foot, and then I still never find it.
I've actually had springs, like electric blowback mechanism springs. I was playing around with one once, kind of launching it around my room. And then one time when I was teching, I decided, oh, I'll just launch it away. It just happens to launch, lands behind my bed, and I haven't seen it since. And I kind of stopped playing with springs after that point. I gotta pull
Time
this
to get
opinion
the
off.
flashlight and look for it. You know those
I'll
little
be gone
things
for
that
another
latch
few minutes while I correct
your
this
dust
opinion.
cover shut? Like a little actual piece of plastic that holds it shut? That kind of fell out, so.
Those dust cover pieces are usually very fragile sometimes.
They wear out easy too.
Alright, I give up. I can't find that video. It would have been cool to find it, though.
Video or it didn't happen.
No, trust me, it's a real video. Hey, Raven,
Yeah, I know.
did you see a video of a person that put two gearboxes together on one motor? Did you hear me, Raven? Did he leave?
He just left. I don't know if he
Aw.
came back yet. I wasn't looking.
Probably dropped.
He went to the store to buy some BBs. That's what they should make, magnetic BBs, so we can tell when someone's been shot.
Ow.
They have to wear magnet stuff all over their body somewhere.
Oh, that'd be terrible. Can you?
Supposed to wear body armor like you're in SWAT.
Oh, sweet. I actually found the piece of plastic.
I'm gonna go check the Twitch channel. I tried, I can't find it. Jesus, what's going on, man?
Apparently he's too busy to answer.
Looks like nobody's there.
Who's nobody?
There's nobody there. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, who's nobody?
There's nobody there.
Yeah.
Says one viewer.
Damn.
At least it's a recording to check through later.
So all the dumb things we say will be forever recorded in history.
No. Here's a challenge. Anyone who happened to skip to this point in the video, or has stuck with us this long, email me and I will PayPal you $5.
Okay, I'm gonna say that I watched my own video.
You know, one time I was dumb enough to pay some guy $15 for a receiver set where like the bottom, the lower had like a piece broken off of one corner. Oh man, no.
Wait, is that mine?
Maybe.
I was just happy somebody bought that. Why did you buy them?
Oh, see, my friend has this Lancer Tactical.
Oh, that's how all the good stories start.
I literally just finished putting the receiver on there. I don't think I'm even gonna glue that piece on. I think I'm just gonna like just bolt it and say screw it.
That receiver came to me like that, and I think it's already like JB welded on.
Yeah, that JB was nasty, by the way.
Not my job. Don't blame me. You can go blame INJ.
You know, I'm not even sure if it's actually the problem with the receivers, more that just the uppers spot for the bolt was like crooked or something.
Who's Sniper F50? Is that somebody we don't know? Guess what I bought on Friday?
Who's?
Well, somebody's in the Twitch chat.
Someone cares?
He says you don't know me, haha.
That's not conclusive at all.
I'm logging in.
Alright, well, we better keep talking about tech stuff.
Oh boy.
I'm sanding a small piece of plastic so it'll fit in a hole, but I can't see what the fitment actually looks like. I just know whether it fits or doesn't fit. So it probably fits in one side that I'm still sanding.
Okay, now there's 4 people in the Twitch chat.
So popular.
Dude, we're going viral.
Says on Friday I bought a Systema PTW.
Well, aren't you special?
Ooh, fun.
Hey, this is a mech channel. Why would we want to buy a Systema PTW that we aren't going to mech?
Could totally do it.
It's funny because, you know, we make the guns so that they don't break, but the system already is designed to not break.
Technically, then why do they allow you to buy the parts?
Yes, why was there aftermarket part support?
I don't know, maybe A and K paid them to do it.
Oh, A and K. Yeah.
Okay, we got a tech question.
This will be good. This is good.
Go for it.
Isn't it an intelligent question?
Or is it like, what do I buy?
What is the best battery?
Oh, God. Sweet Jesus. Let me just grab a random one out of my bag. Here, buy this one. Buy a Zippy Compact. Buy it. It's the best. I can guarantee it. 10 out of 10 would buy again.
I have a 14.8. That's the best, obviously.
I wonder what question he's going to ask when he's got a Systema.
If Reagan were here right now, he would laugh.
Yeah.
This is the best battery right here, everyone. It's a 7 point. No. It's
7.2
NiCad.
NiCad? Is that what that is?
Wait, I have a 9.6 around here somewhere.
Damn, son, a 7.2. Really stepping it up in the world. That is
Sweet, I just
quality.
finished a gun. This thing is now, like, done-ish.
Okay, my VFC 416's piston is locked back, and before that, it would shoot semi, and on full auto, it would like slip and not catch.
Those are contradictory. One's the ARL is catching, the other the ARL is not catching.
I'm just repeating the question.
I know, I'm answering it.
Your symptoms don't line up. Repeat the question.
Okay, well,
Error 404, file not found.
I can answer this one because I've owned a couple of VFCs. Yeah, the piston's junk, for sure. It's those clear type parts that just they're brittle, they break real easily. The teeth will start to strip on it. I mean, I have a slip and not catch, like isn't meshing or what. Yeah, it's probably your piston, buddy. I'm sorry to say, but those.
It's a cheap fix.
If you know how to tech.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you know what you're doing, you get rid of the piston, you put another piston in. You could just put a Lonix piston in there. It will perfectly work. I put a blue Lonix in there, perfectly works fine.
Yeah.
You Linux snobs.
You put an extra G&G piston in? Well, that's your problem if you have two pistons.
I don't think you put extra.
Like, that might explain your lockback issue.
Maybe we went half and half.
I'm gonna take a guess here. Get a couple extra parts and those extra gearbox.
Does anyone else really like JG Cream pistons?
Like that?
They're okay.
I mean, as far as, parts that are usually like $3 to free go.
Yeah, I've not had too much experience with JG. I've only had a little bit.
The only JG pistons I've ever had are the carrots.
The carrots are atrocious.
Yeah, they're pretty terrible.
Both those names I don't like. What about those GNP pistons that are together, like 5-pack on e-bike?
Isn't there something kind of implied about a 5-pack of
I
pistons?
was like, I feel like if they're selling them in bulk.
It's like when Airsoft GI tried to give away the, what were those crappy bullpups for like $50?
Weren't they the UARs?
Yeah, the UARs. They couldn't get rid of those, they were so bad.
Okay, we're starting to get some people filling up actually on Twitch.
Oh lord.
We got those.
They heard there was question answering going on.
You guys know what a V12 is?
Yeah, it's an HBA engine.
Oh yeah, that.
The Vulcan?
Falcon.
Yeah.
Falcon's a nasty, dirty company as far as I can tell.
Okay, well I have a Polar Star. Does anybody have a V12?
I don't have a V12, but I've heard tons of bad things about them by legitimate people.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard I've heard that they're like in the step ladder of HPA, V12 is near the bottom, above is Tipman, and then it's kind of, in between for Polar Stars and Hydras and, all that good stuff. Because there's so many fanboys for Polar Star and so many fanboys for the SMPs and the Jacks and the Hydras from their respective companies. It's just...
And if you're going to make a $350 purchase on what is presumed to be a sub-par product, you might as well go up a little extra and at least get an SMP.
Yeah, I mean, get the SMP. If I were to go HPA, I would probably go SMP, just because I like the fact that you can drop it into any shell.
Well, that's the thing. Is the V12 the entire shell, or is it just...
Yeah, it's like a Polar Star shell, I think. Well, no, I take it back. It's an entire gun.
I think it...
E-bike sells V12 gearbox shells. Like, it's just
I think
a shell.
that's what it is. It's like a Polar Star shell, kind of.
Okay. Because the shell just looks like your traditional zinc cast piece of junk. With it almost looks like an SMP cylinder setup.
Yeah.
How long is the sticking out part of your ARL latch spring?
I don't even.
I don't know about the same length as the other ARL latch spring that I have.
That
I really don't know
that
how to
kind of question's hard to answer because I'm not really sure on
not
the
a usual
question.
part that I measure.
What about one of those next gen ones, like Tokyo Marui ones? Those are different, right?
I don't whip it out and I'm like, oh yeah, it's time to measure the length of my ARL spring.
Sticky out part.
No, I really don't need to know that. I have no idea.
All you check for is
usually
to make
that's
sure it
near
moves
your
right.
latch, correct?
Yeah.
Well, if it's a sticky out part, I'm assuming they're talking about the piece that sits underneath and braces against the shell itself and not the latch.
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Ideally, that should be longer, because if it's too short, it'll just spin, and it won't catch on anything.
I mean, as long as it's touching the shell and putting tension on the bevel, you're fine.
Yeah. I've had some that have come out of stock guns that have been too short in other shells, though.
Yeah. I would guess a few millimeters, probably 3 or 4 maybe.
Yeah, not much longer than that, though. It shouldn't be as long as the first leg that goes on the latch.
Okay, well we got multiple people now in there.
What are we asking about the length of the axle of the ARL?
What was that?
Are we asking about the actual length on the ARL?
No.
I think he was saying it's not long enough. So what happens is, I've had one before where it's just barely, the tip is just long enough to touch the shell properly, so that it actually works. Like, if it's not long enough, what happens is it just spins in place. The ARL doesn't even touch the bevel gear properly, doesn't lock up on it.
Yeah. And if it's too short, it might actually seat right, but it makes it to get it set and close the shell just because it sits right there on the edge.
I've done that a couple times.
Okay, I got another question. What's the difference between an SMP and a jack?
I'm not a big HTA guy, but is there a big difference?
I know the differences between, well, not all the differences, but I know that I don't know too much about the jack versus the SMP, but I know that SMP versus the Hydra. The Hydra has like a toolless disassembly, more efficiency, longer lasting parts. So I'm guessing you could assume the same differences with the jack.
I believe the SMP and F1 use 2 solenoids, and the jack uses a single solenoid, but don't quote me on that.
Well, doesn't the SMP stand for single moving part? Doesn't it only have one?
Is that really an acronym?
Yeah, it is.
Holy hell.
My mind is
You might be right on that, actually.
Alright, I'm out. That's just too much. Too much knowledge.
It might just have one, because that was Polar Star's answer to the SMP.
Yeah.
I know the jack is like $60 cheaper, at least it was the last time I checked it.
Then the SMP or Fusion engine?
SMP.
Interesting.
The F1 looks pretty cool.
Oh boy, what to work on now? Oh, I got a customer gun over here.
Customer guns. Those things that, you don't want to break. I had one once and I almost screwed it up really badly.
Look at this thing. This is disgusting. Orange tip, all them good wires. That is delicious right there. Doesn't even have a stock. Nothing.
Yeah, Justin, all you need is a better camera.
Yeah, I know, right? Anyway, yeah, it's just a Du Bois. He just wants me to get some external stuff for it, and then there was one internal problem. All it was is that the barrel was totally upside down in the hop-up unit. So,
How did that happen?
I don't know, but it was there.
So you're a Du Bois fan as opposed to D-Boys?
Du Bois, yeah.
How do I focus on someone's camera? Every time I click on someone's camera, it still goes to everyone that's talking.
I
you have
click
to
on the
click on their
little bottom part.
Yeah, there should be a push pin icon for you to click on. Or something similar that should lock it to somebody's camera.
Wait, so do only like half of us have actual cameras?
I don't see no push pin.
It might be different on a PC as opposed to a mobile version.
Yeah.
How many
Yeah,
people
but
on Twitch?
I like the boys' guns personally. I'm a pretty big fan of them as a budget brand.
How much do you think I could get for a Lancer tactical receiver set with like no little parts on it at all?
Not much. Is it a? It's a plastic receiver set, I'm assuming,
Yeah, completely plastic.
without any like no mag catch, no pins or anything.
Nope.
About
Yeah,
$5.
not much at all.
Could I get $1? I think anyone would pay $1 for this.
Okay, we got some. Any tips for keeping wiring down inside a gearbox shell?
Drill into it. Super glue. Press it down. Does he know? Is he running a MOSFET or is he just running like a standard harness with like 2 wires going underneath or 1 wire going underneath the motor shaft?
I'm not sure, but when you ask that, he's probably going to respond.
Yeah. I mean, a standard, you should never have that problem, but with MOSFETs, it gets interesting.
Yeah, so whoever asked that question, are you running a MOSFET or not?
And if so, 3 or 4 wire, because that's even worse.
Yeah.
Dual wire in an M4 seems downright impossible.
Well, some people say super glue. I really don't recommend using super glue. I've tried it once before. It depends on the wire. You can rip the wire up too if you need to take it out. So I don't know if I would do super glue, but what I do is I put, again, material on the wire, and that allows it to get stuck in position.
Yeah. So what I
Somewhat of a sarcastic suggestion. I have done it before, but I don't do it often.
It says a cheetah 2N to the rear.
Cheetah 2N, so that's a 3 wire.
Okay, to the rear. So he's got a signal wire and a positive going underneath the motor shaft then. Okay.
Historically, It's easier to run the signal wire closer to the bevel and run them both flat to the shell.
Yeah, keep them on the same axis. So here's what I usually do is if there's not enough space, I'll take a Dremel with a cutting bit on it, and I will Dremel out a little bit of the gearbox shell there underneath the motor shaft, and that'll free up a little bit of space for me. If you can't do that, then yeah, just make sure the signal wire, the small wire, is up closer towards the bevel, and then try to rest the positive wire right next to it and keep them on the same plane so that they're not like stacked on top of each other. That'll be your best course of action.
They both should be flush to the shell underneath where the shaft runs over them.
Yeah. And then you guys were kind of joking about it, but I actually do use a little bit of super glue.
No, I use super glue. That's how I do it.
Yeah, once I get them in place and get them pressed down, I'll put just a little bit of super glue on there, and that just makes sure that nothing vibrates or pops them out.
The times I have glued, it's already rewired, and I don't at all plan on taking it out, so it's somewhat permanent.
Yeah, I just add a little bit, and I can get it out of there pretty easily.
You know, another
Is that one of those
technique.
things?
Another technique I've used is you can put a clip down in between the shell and holds it down in place too.
Oh, that is true. Yeah, that would work too.
Yep. Bert, back.
How much did I miss?
Quite a bit.
Well, we started
have Twitch chat going.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have Twitch questions now, so.
Okay, here's
We're
a
a
question we
podcast.
missed. What are some good high-speed gears for an AK that don't strip after a week?
Well,
This implies you've had gears that have stripped within a week. So
How about if
First,
we
First
them
off,
up
I'd
100
like
to
to-
200?
So what went wrong?
I mean, honestly, if you want something that's guaranteed not to strip, then the obvious answer is Siege Tech. If you're on a budget, then SHS and ZCI.
I was like, I know me and Infidel or Zach, we personally have had really good experiences with the DCIs over the SHSs.
yeah, I would prefer ZCI
So-
over SHS, but they both have pros and cons.
Yeah.
When I buy gears, I buy ZCIs, 13 to 1s or 16 to 1s, depending.
If you're going with 16 to 1, it's not much of a difference over 18 to 1.
Yeah, not really worth the purchase. But like
Yeah, no,
as far as the two companies go, as long as you aren't, I mean, you're always going to be playing the lottery. But if you have two perfect products, it's kind of give and take with both of them. It's just what you prefer, whether it's a stronger sector with stupid screws or it's a stronger bevel.
I'd like to add though that all the talk about like the SHS lemons, out of the 5 or 6 sets that have gone through me for various builds, I have not received one lemon.
Yeah,
And
apparently a lot of people had issues with Gen 4 sectors, but I haven't had personal experience with them myself.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt that Gen 4 SHS was pretty bad on the bevels.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And again, ACM Lotto, you get it or you don't.
yeah. Especially with the quantity they produce, you could get multiple hundreds of bad sets of gears.
well, it's also one of those things where we were talking about earlier about how we were talking about something that a lot of it seems like it was just hearsay. Oh, the angle, the motor angle on the Magpul grips.
Yeah, the MOD grips.
Reading into it, like there are issues, but a lot of times they're overblown by everyone. Like, oh, I heard someone, or I know a guy who knows a guy who worked on a gun. That kind of stuff.
Well, first-hand experience here, I did have one that was absolutely terrible. I mean, perfect shimming, and it just sounded terrible. So put some washers in it, adjusted it, no problem.
Where did you put those washers, by the way? Where did you adjust it?
I put washers, I forget how big the washers were. They might have been like a millimeter thick. I put them under the 2 front screws, like the ones closest to your trigger finger.
Okay, I see. Alright. And like we were saying, I mean, right here personally, obviously, little Chinese Magpul grip here. I just installed that first try. I looked at the motor alignment while it was in the shell, and then I tested it after I put it all together, and it seems to be doing quite good so far. I mean, there's a little bit of a whine, but that might be off my shimming, but nothing catastrophic so far. So, yeah. So far, that's my word on it, is that it's hit or miss, but it's not a guarantee that you'll get a bad one.
Zach, has that guy said what gear sets he's tried?
no. We could ask that.
I would be interested to know what you've broken so far.
Yeah, I'd also want to point out that a lot of times gears, even bad gears, will last more than a week if you know what you're doing. If you shim it properly, even with some crappy gears, you could last more than a week. Even if you went every day playing, it just depends.
And before he's running an M110 at 50 RPS, like there's your issue.
Yeah, PME and all that other good stuff.
Okay, guys. Well, this has been swell, but I've got to go to a film tonight, so I'm going to peace out now.
Well, have fun.
All right, later, man.
I'm probably going to tap out before too long. I have to be working 5 hours.
That's fine. Some of us can stay and answer some questions.
Yeah, I got nowhere to be.
So while I was gone, this actually turned into what can be qualified as a podcast.
Sort of.
Dude, we have like actual viewers.
Where are they coming from?
Yeah, I literally asked, and they're actually random people. I mean, I think Hopper's in the chat, but past that, they're random.
The Matrix Magpul motor grip I got came without threads on the back screw hole. Didn't notice until I ruined my warranty by stippling it.
Stippling, yeah.
Yeah, probably. Well,
Stipples the
guess you
thread,
kind of
honestly.
screwed there. If you already modified the product, even if it was defective from the start, you're kind of out of luck. There's not really much you can do about that.
You can try to super glue it.
And I think Zardichar has put brass inserts into pistol grips before.
Yeah, you can do that. There's a mod for that.
Yeah, I think somebody at one point, I forget whether it was on Facebook or the forums, had a
It
link
was
to it.
it was Zodchar. I remember that.
Yeah, it was a McMaster-Carr link to brass inserts.
McMastercard's like the most amazing website there is.
Except for shipping.
The only thing they could do better is take PayPal.
And have
Yeah.
better shipping prices.
Yes, that as well.
Would you rather have a PTW or a Polar Star?
Polar Star.
That's one of those questions I'm not even gonna answer.
Honestly, I would go gas blowback out of the options listed.
Out of the options listed, none of the above.
Yeah.
There should always be an or gas blowback option.
I mean, honestly, they're two uncomparable systems, really. You just have two different platforms.
It's close to an AG, the other one is HPA, so there's they're not even in the same ballpark.
But at the price of a PTW?
PTWs are more than a Polar Star setup, aren't they?
Polar Stars.
Because they're like 2K.
Yeah, I want to say
Yeah.
PTWs are they do approach that 2K mark, while a decent Polar Star setup you can get one used, I know, for like 800 or brand new from a retailer for a little over $1,000.
Yeah, low for grand's what I was thinking.
Well, and depending on where you look, minus the air setup, you could get the Fusion engine and full externals for under 700, depending on
Yeah,
what
but
quality.
we're
you look.
talking new here though.
Full setup.
Okay, well, full setup with air, yeah, that's going to be way over that. Because the tanks are like $100 by themselves.
I've actually seen some like browsing through eBay, Craigslist, various forms. I've actually seen some listed where they pretty much have everything ready to go. It's just the tank is empty, and they're only asking like 950 or 1,000 because it's used. But it's pretty much a full system. If you find a good deal like that, it's actually a fairly reasonable price compared to what you'll pay for it from a retailer. Because I know Evike, they have their pre-assembled Polar Star guns, and some of them are like 900,000. I think one of them was $1,000, and didn't even include the remote line. It was just the fusion engine in a metal body.
Well, and those companies usually, I mean, they anything but it'll drop fusion engines into combat machines.
Well, no, on Evike it was like GMP metal bodies.
Okay.
I
Well,
didn't see
Airwrap
the,
dropped the G&Gs. So,
Airsoft,
that is
yeah.
Airwrap.
Combat machine base, which always surprised me.
Honestly, not that bad, but don't drop a $5 fusion engine into it.
It's a polymer body, give it that, but it's not. Get a decent aluminum metal body if you're gonna run something as expensive as a Polar Star in it.
Yeah, like don't go to that expense and cheat yourself out of nice externals.
Yeah.
You might as well just go.
Because when you say, when someone asks you, is that a Polar Star, you want it to look like a Polar Star and not a combat machine.
Does anyone know where to get a full stock setup for KWA MP7? Charging handle, stock pass, the bars.
KWA Pro Shop.
Yeah, that's, as far as I know, that's the only place that you can get individual parts like that, unless someone is selling a part-out gun on a forum or eBay or something like that.
KWA Pro Shop. That's what he said.
Other than that, you can't find parts for KWA pretty much anywhere, unless it's like the most basic thing.
Some posted evike.com, but I don't really know if they have KWA parts there.
Evike has a huge amount of aftermarket. Evike has a huge amount of like aftermarket part support. A lot of times, though, for anything not listed on their website, you have to contact them. Which, at that point, you might as well be contacting like the KWA Pro Shop or the company directly, because now you're doing the same thing. You have to email them, go through that rigmarole of that process, just in order for them to find that part that you want, and then have them order it, have them ship it to you. Might as well be going through the actual company of the gun at that point.
Well, and as far as e-bike goes, they might have a basic couple listings for KWA parts, but KWA is awful about supplying anybody with their parts.
Don't they want people to go to KWA directly?
Yeah, I mean, that's the logic. They don't give anybody their parts, so everybody has to go through the pro shop.
That, or you could sell your KWA MP7. I don't think you'd want to sell it, though. It's such a cool gun.
MP7 is pretty awesome.
It is for, like, out of the 3 MP7 gas blowbacks, the KWA, the Marubi, and I guess you can qualify the WESMG8 on that list.
You.
The WSMG8, that is the worst version.
Raven, the TM MP7 is the best.
Well, I've actually used a couple KWAs at the local field before, and they're actually really nice.
But TM?
Haven't had a TM one yet, so...
They're APs, in case you didn't realize.
No, they have a gas blowback MP7.
Really?
Tokyo Marines have a gas blowback MP7.
My mind has been blown.
I didn't
Go
know.
Airsoft Tiger HK111.com. They should have it. Oh, that also reminds me. I was on a Airsoft Tiger the other day, and Army Armament has released a gas blowback G36, which it's $120. The magazines look like a spitting image of a WE G39 magazine. I'm almost tempted to pick one of them. Almost. It's a gas blowback, unknown system at this point. No aftermarket support, as far as I'm aware. It comes with 2 magazines for $120. You got to include the $60 shipping from China. I mean, for
That sounds sketchy as crap.
it does. I mean, the WE and G39s from Airsoft Tiger, I want to say they're down to 120. No, sorry, 210. Or is that e-hobby? Can't remember my numbers. But yeah, I mean, honestly,
Really, really similar to those. I think Well made them, the gas blowback MP5s that were just god awful terrible. And it's like, oh, $100 for a gas blowback SMG. Well, yeah, your mag's stuck and it never works.
there's a ridiculous rate of fire.
Yeah, but with 22 round magazine.
Shooting at like what 1,400 rounds a minute, so it just blows through that in like I think it was like 2 seconds or something.
Yeah,
Full.
I mean, 22 rounds doesn't last a whole lot on that kind of rate of fire.
So he bought
The no bolt lock was a deal breaker for me.
So he bought the gun, came with a bent stock, and he threw it away without thinking.
Well, you nailed it right there without thinking.
Yeah, what I would have done, this is something you could have done at that time, was kept the bent stock. You could have got a replacement part for that, or you could have made the part yourself too. If you know what you're doing with 3D printing, or you know somebody, you can have that part reprinted. You don't have to go to KWA for it.
RMA.
Yeah, that's what he should have done.
Yeah,
I mean, if you bought it used, can you RMA it?
don't.
He said it was bent, not used.
No, I thought
Oh.
he bought the gun used.
No, I don't think so. I think he bought it new,
Oh.
but maybe the stock was just bent. He never said used.
Well, if it's new, then yeah, that's your own fault. If you comes broken, you RMA that.
Yeah. First course
It
of
could have been
action is
used. I don't know. It never
product.
said used or new.
I want to say KWA has this thing. I know their warranty is actually fairly good, considering that it's an airsoft gun company. But I can't remember if it was a lifetime warranty on their product or not. But I know KWA's warranty is actually fairly decent for an airsoft gun company. As far as I'm aware, if you have like a stock rifle, you haven't touched anything internally, and you've maintained it properly throughout the entire life of the product, you could ship it back to KWA. They'll fix it, replace any parts that are needed for free for the price of the parts. You just have to pay for the shipping of the gun.
What
I
is
feel like there's a lot of leeway in that for them to get out.
like what does regular maintenance mean
Yeah.
without opening the gun?
I know for their AEGs, I know it's like if you open the gearbox, that voids the warranty.
Well, yeah, but like how do they expect you to quote properly maintain for the lifetime if you're not going to open anything up?
Yeah. Yeah, never. I looked into it a little bit a couple years ago when I was working on my friend's G36. It's because I was interested, because he gave me the whole box and everything, the manual. I noticed what it said, so I hopped on their website, just do a quick search. But I don't really remember much because it was just before I opened up the gearbox of the gun to do work.
Yeah. That just sounds, just like you said, incredibly open-ended and easy to get out of. I mean, product maintenance is so subjective when every company has their own thing. And outside of opening it, there's no universally accepted one thing to do that's actually working.
On their gas blowbacks, like what they recommend in the manual on their website is to use green gas, and that's they call proper maintenance.
Your microphone's breaking up, Bert.
How about now?
Sounds good.
Yeah, I know on their gas blowbacks in the manuals, the warranties say that on the warranty it's the using green gas.
I find that interesting because depending on who you talk to, some people totally disregard mixing oil with raw propane instead of using green gas.
First off, it gets in your rolling. I only run straight propane, and I leave my gun in between. I'm an advocate against running green gas in a gun.
It's just way too expensive for what it is. And then e-bikes started carrying red and black gas, so you know people are going to start using that crap too.
Yeah, that's... Can't wait to hear how many stores people are going to say that they use gas and blow up on them, and then you find out that they're using the red gas or something like that.
Does anybody know what the chemical competition of the red or black gas is?
Red gas is just duster gas, or in Japan they actually just use R34A refrigerant. But black gas is almost like CO2, isn't it?
Can't remember what... Red gas isn't that. Red gas is more powerful than green gas, but it's a higher pressure refrigerant. There was a great post on Airsoft Sniper Forum, I think it was. Yeah, Airsoft Sniper Forum. They broke down, someone broke down the known composition of different gases. And I want to say the only one they didn't know was black gas. Because black gas has never really been popular.
Raven, you gotta fix my.
Yeah, I'm using exactly. It's all over. Yeah. I myself have looked into it. But the only thing that I found, I couldn't find information for black gas, what the chemical composition of black gas is, which I know it's pretty much one of the most powerful.
You gotta fix your mic, Raven.
Yeah, Raven, I can't understand you at all.
If we can't understand you, nobody in Twitch is gonna understand you either.
It almost sounds like half your mic isn't working. It just comes in and out as it pleases.
Sounds like there's background noise and he's not close enough to it almost.
It's quite literally sitting 1 inch away from the mouth.
Well, it's better now. We'll have to see.
Yeah, this thing's always giving me issues.
Well, just in the past, I've seen black gas used interchangeably with CO2. Like, they're around the same PSI, supposedly.
If they're putting a 1200 psi gas in what equates to a hairspray can, I'm worried.
That's what I've heard. I mean, they just, on the listing on eBay, they just straight up said, don't use this in summer because it'll be way too hot. Like, this is a winter gas.
I wonder if it's Russian.
Which one? Black gas is?
Black gas. E-Bike lists it as a winter gas. You know,
If
high
it
value
rains,
or E-Bike.
Is it really a winter gas though?
Well, I mean, as far as the winter versus summer, it's just a higher PSI gas. Where you lose PSI in the winter on green gas, you can make up for it with black gas. But I mean, it's not made specifically for that. It's just you can use it for that circumstance. It's like with my Glock, I have to use duster gas in the middle of summer because my Glock mags hold the gas at such a high pressure. If I use propane, the hammer spring is not strong enough for the first 10 shots. So I have to use a weaker gas so it'll actually work. And the opposite is true in winter. You just have no PSI backing your gas if it's too cold.
Who's shooting their AEG in the background?
Sorry, I forgot to mute my mic for that.
Alright, I'm gonna tap out, guys.
Alright.
Alright.
Peace.
Alright, catch you later.
Who all do we still have left in here?
Oh.
Still at least 4 of us, right? 5 of us?
5.
Has Twitch quieted down?
Yeah, it looks like might be 1 or 2 people still watching, but it looks like the other people might have left.
They all left as soon as we started talking Airsoft.
Well, your mic started getting really bad, and I think that also makes it hard for them to know if it's loading properly, you know? Like, is it working?
Yeah,
It's
it would
hard
be
to
easy
tell.
if the whole thing broke down.
It's okay, because if we did this more often, you can get more people coming in, I think. And I don't even know how they'd find it, to be honest, because you have all those other channels that are on top of this. So, who knows how they found it.
All I know about Twitch is that you could sort. You can sort like who's streaming now, and you could then sort by tags. Like you search for YouTube videos, you can see what tags there are for current streaming.
I just found it by searching Airsoft.
How many Airsoft streams are going on now?
1, apparently.
Nice.
There was, I think, 3 or 4 people in earlier at the same time.
What, 100-something views?
I don't know if that's true. Maybe if one person was hitting refresh 100 times.
Like back in the day with YouTube.
Sounds like someone's getting high in the background. What's going on here?
We're using it.
Sounds like Piston Head was blowing his nose.
Gotta get some of that crank. You know what it is? It's the Airsoft BBs that are powdered. You like break them up into powder, and then you just snort that up. Oh, perfect.
A true BB Warrior mix right there.
You could legitimately say, "I'm hit." I'm hit.
No, you took a hit for the team.
That totally needs to be the title of our summary in your thread.
I took a hit. I'm an airsoft tech. I take my BBs out. I hit them with a hammer, and then I just snort it up, and I'm hit.
No, you gotta call 200.
You gotta call your hits.
Type bore.
This is professional teching where you hit the BBs.
You gotta call your hits though.
Russia, you hit BB.
You guys know how to check somebody if they're calling their hits, right? You just walk up to them like after or before the game, and you throw some BBs at them and see if they say anything.
There's actually at the field, the referees will in the middle of the game, and I've been shot myself, but I'll pull out a pistol, double tap you in the back, just to see if you're calling hits. And a lot, that's happened to me a few times. I turn around and it's like, oh, you're good. They see that you acknowledge the hit, and they let you stay in the game. But yeah, unfortunately, last time I went, I didn't see them do that. The field has kind of gone downhill since it opened.
Well, you need a really active ref staff to enforce that.
Well, the game pod has, I want to say out on the field, staff members at least at any point in time. Plus, they have a mock-up of 7.7 control tower. In the control tower, they have like a dozen live camera feeds from throughout the field, so that they could direct staff members to areas and whatnot. They are very active on keeping communication between the staff members in the field. But I know last summer, near the end of the summer, you could tell there were a few referees who were like 18, just there for their job or something. They didn't really care.
I keep looking at the painting on your wall and thinking it's multicam.
Are you talking to me, ZachOX, or?
Yeah.
That'd make a pretty cool pattern, actually.
Yeah, it looks like ducks.
It's a bunch of geese, I think. I don't know. No ducks. Yeah, looks like ducks. I had to look for the necks. There's no necks on them, so like long necks, so they have to be ducks, I guess.
It does look like multicam in the small picture, though. That's funny.
Should take that and just spray it on a gun then.
A duck pattern.
I'm having the same problem that was it Infidel was having earlier.
Charlie?
Yeah. Funny thing is, the gun worked just fine before I took it apart and reshimmed.
That's the same thing that was happening with me. On the stock spring and stock setup, semi worked great. And
No,
then-
it's the cutoff levers going funky. It's in full auto. Oh no, I had to go back to safe.
You got to remember those cutoff levers. They're made with plastic, so if the cutoff hits it too hard, it breaks the plastic, and then you're screwed. You have to do a modification to it.
And this has been a common issue with this gun, is that when I go from semi to full auto on the AK, semi to full auto, it doesn't always the selector plate correctly. And sometimes I have to go all the way up to safe and then back down to full auto in order for it to state correctly on the selector plate. So it's just a minor issue that this gun's always had. It's just...
Well, what brand of AK is it?
It's essentially all JG internals in an SRC, in a JG lower, with an SRC stock grip and forend.
Okay, so you have basically sloppy tolerances all over the place.
Well, that's the problem with the cutoff levers, that the design is on such a strict spec tolerance. Like, if it's barely off, yeah, your cutoff lever's not going to work properly.
Well, the thing is, the gearbox in it is JG gearbox, JG contacts, JG cutoff lever, whatever brand of contact JG uses in their stock gearboxes, with a G&G sector, with G&G gear set. So the shuttle, the gearbox, the trigger mech, the cutoff, and the gearbox are all from the same company. So, as well as the gearbox, I mean, outside the gearbox, it's sitting in a JG lower receiver for an AK.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Like, between the AK selector lever and the gears and linkage to the selector plate, that's probably sloppy as crap if it's a JG. So
The selector
go up to safe back to auto isn't really surprising.
It's an ACM gun.
I don't understand why they just haven't made the trolleys with a metal arm yet.
Trolley, like where the cutoff lifts it?
Yeah, where it's plastic, it should be metal, because it wears it down and it eventually breaks.
I would imagine making a cost-effective bi-material piece like that would be kind of like a pain in the butt for a company based on mass production.
But couldn't you just make it a two-piece, like this metal piece that actually just goes into it?
Yeah, but then you have a whole nother molding process for the trolley.
That holds in the
Sorry, Raven, we can't hear you.
Yeah, the mic is
how about now?
fixed a little bit.
How about now?
There we go.
So, you know that metal pin that holds in the chunk that completes the connector on the shuttle? Why not just redesign it so you put that pin forward to the edge of the shelf for the cutoff engagement? So now, still got one pin it's being pressed in. Fairly simple redesign.
Well, if you move that pin, then you completely void the reason the pin is there, because it doesn't line up with the contact piece anymore.
That pin is there to hold the contact in, right? If I remember.
Yeah.
I'm saying, like, move it so that the reason why where the pin goes in. So the pin is still doing the job of holding that contact piece, but it's moved up in a position to where now it does a secondary job of providing extra support to the very edge of that shelf where the cutoff lever engages.
Well, that's the problem, Raven. By the time you get it low enough to actually do what it's supposed to with the cutoff, you're completely missing the contact piece that it's there to support.
Hey, I like that somebody's put up a video of it. Who's doing that?
It's me. But just the pin that's lined up with the contact piece, by the time you move it low enough to the shelf, I mean, it's way out of range of the contact piece. It's a good idea.
Why don't they
if
just-
they made the contact bigger, then it could work.
Why don't they just have the trolley with a threading in it, and then they just have a metal screw that they slowly turn in there?
I actually just got an
just a
email.
thought.
One of my articles got posted.
Oh, snap.
Article? What's this about?
On Airsoft Society.
Oh, okay. Guess that's something I'll have to look at later.
What's it about?
Rate of fire.
Oh, goody. I'll have to check that out.
I think I found the problem with my selector. It's just the way the gear hitting with the levers and all that. The selector drive, it just wasn't set up properly. It was offset by one tooth.
Oh, well, that would do it.
Yeah. I don't know how guys can fit 14 gauge wire into an AK.
I did it. People fit 14 gauge anywhere. 16 is almost too big for anything.
I fit 14
called-
gauge into an AK, but the body was plastic. So, I mean,
It's called Dremel skills, man.
I didn't Dremel anything actually. I think I ran it from the front and then just kind of had to squeeze it behind the gearbox in the back. It wasn't very fun, I will say that.
I actually fit 14 gauge wire into a friend's D-Boys M4, and it was actually fairly easy to do.
Well, some of them have enough space to where the wire tracks are wide enough, but most aren't.
Yeah. That's why I like D-Boys. D-Boys, all their guns seem to be put out in comparison to G. I mean, they seem to be laid out pretty well. The AOE on the piston stock was like perfect.
They just have a big spacer on the cylinder head already, or what?
I think the cylinder head was just a little bit thicker. I didn't get any dimensions off of it, fortunately. Because I like the tough with my electronic calipers because it's fun. But I didn't grab the dimensions.
Yeah.
The cylinder pad looked the same. I think it was the actual thickness of the cylinder head.
Interesting.
Yeah, and by perfect, I mean that the sector gear teeth and the pickup tooth piston. No, the piston's pickup tooth were completely flush. With each other, they had 100% face contact.
Yeah, and with it being part of the cylinder head, it wouldn't matter under spring tension.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people totally ditching Sorbo nowadays.
Ditching?
As in favor of hard faucet washers.
Oh, yeah. I have done that.
Because apparently Sorbo doesn't reset fast enough because it's just too spongy.
Yeah, but you can put something in front of it that kind of helps it. The problem is inside it. The circle will start to kind of still tear down.
Yeah.
Might be because it's just too soft of a material, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I've seen a few people start to do that, the hard silicone thing from, I think, Airsoft Mechanics. That's where that started. But they like make a miniature mound of silicone on top of the back of the cylinder head.
I just use RTV silicone, and I put it in a friend's SEMA AK. Corrected AOE just fine, and it actually sounds better because it was a thicker pad than the Sorbo that I've been previously
Does that
using.
silicone mod work well? I've heard like just some mixed reports on how that works as far as reliability.
There's a
I
lot
haven't
of work going into the process. Whether or not it's actually worth the end result over like a faucet washer, not entirely sure.
Honestly, just from my experience, like with the faucet washer, I could have that thing super glued in there with plastic surgery not coming out within 20 minutes. Silicone mod requires 24 hours minimum to let the silicone set up. So already from a time difference, that's pretty massive. And
Then you've actually got to tune it and make sure that it's not too long. Then you got to shape
yeah.
it.
Well, what I did to ease that, I just took some masking tape, put it around the cylinder head, and had it stick out as far as I needed it to. And I knew that if I just filled that little cup up, the cup that the masking tape made around the cylinder head, if I just filled that up with silicone and just leveled it off, it would be perfect.
Yeah. But it just comes down to time. You've got to let the silicone set, and it
Yeah.
just takes forever. If you got to put something together quick, I mean, it's just kind of like the whole JB Weld your bushings thing. I mean, most people don't do it. Some people do. It just takes forever to do it.
Super glue.
Super glue, for me, it's always just busted out. Super glue doesn't hold bushings real well.
I did super glue once on the gun I'm working on actually, and on low stress it seemed to work pretty well. The annoying thing was that the bushings all got stuck really fast, so like if you need to hammer them in for a while, super glue is just not the way to go. I tried JB Weld like on my well, the last time it set like really fast. I used to do epoxy, but I think I'm gonna switch to JB Weld. Epoxy is just irritating to work because if you get it on anything at all, it stays there forever. And it takes like 24 hours to really set, so shimming is like gotta wait a whole day.
Yeah, that 30-minute long process now turned into a 2-day long process. Will, what's your username on Airsoft Society?
Parmesan.
Oh, okay, sweet.
I'm pretty sure like I don't know like any of your voices honestly. Well, Raven's because Raven's mic doesn't work, but
That hurt.
Right in the feels.
wait, did Raven just say something?
Yes.
Or am I talking to Raven? I honestly like can't tell.
You were talking to Raven, yes.
Oh, okay, you are Raven.
Whenever the avatar of the guy in the pool donut shows up, that's me. Raven.
It's so confusing. Like honestly.
Zacho's the guy with the ducks in the background. I think.
Wait, that's Zacho.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense.
Infidel's the guy with the Iron Giant. That's me. Raven's the Master Chief in the pool thing. I don't know what that is.
Full donut.
No, I mean, I could generally, for the most part, like figure out like who you were just from like, like you and Raven, but I couldn't really tell like, which voices belonged to which pictures.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when multiple people start talking, it kind of just throws up a picture of
I don't
whoever's
watch enough.
allowed.
I don't spend enough time on YouTube to know your voices.
I have like 3 YouTube videos up, one of which is of a motor being burnt up from a 6L lipo, which is amazing. Who sounds like they're beating
Wait, so-
a candy wrapper against their phone?
So who's Nola?
I think that's Piston Head, isn't it?
That's Piston Head, yes.
Okay, right. Okay.
The last YouTube video I put up was well over a year and a half ago.
Because honestly, making YouTube videos of things was like never really my strong suit or really piqued my interest. Just because it's like, I mean, there's already so many people doing YouTube videos of airsoft teching and stuff. It's like, alright, I don't really need to add to that.
Yeah, it's just kind of entering the fray.
It's kind of bad
think-
now because you can't get ahead of everybody.
Although I think I may shortly, like after next weekend at the field, I will do a comparison test of a bunch of different silicone weights in the nozzle of of one of my gas blowback rifles, and put that on video form just to have it on video.
The Airsoft tech is blowing up right now because, one, the podcast is decently good, and they have a Facebook and forum audience that's very attentive to what they're doing.
I honestly like every time I read the Airsoft tech, all I just think in my head is horny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the squirrel on the Chewbacca on the squirrel.
Yeah. Somebody else has used that avatar, or is currently using it. It's just like, no, you can't have that. That's not yours.
I want to
It'd be
say
weird
it's
if,
just
like someone just got like a Wilson avatar. You know, be so confusing.
I think someone has. Will. Yeah, I think someone has had that avatar before.
Like, I'm gonna have to be careful the next time I go to find like a penguin to put as my avatar.
March of the Penguins. Oh yeah, that was a thing. It's right up there with my hate, right next to the April Fool's Day that we had last year.
I just stayed off the forum for a week when I saw what was starting to happen. It's like, okay, I'm gonna sit this out and let the flames die down.
Thing is, it's like after that had all went down, every time I've mentioned it and how much disdain I had for it, everyone's like, no, but that was fun. The mods worked overtime. I mean, if there was a donation page for the mods, I would have donated, because there are so many people using the Red Tail avatar who are just absolutely shitting over new members. It was disgraceful.
I mean, Red Tail was his own guy, and it was kind of a funny joke, concept-wise, but once people started actually doing something, it was just like, oh, why? Let's not do that.
It was funny when it was like
I follow the whole
other
issue, because I was off the forums for like a while, just busy with school stuff. Like I mean, I'm familiar with like Red Tail and his sort of thing, but like what actually happened?
I want to say it was a handful of guys, and it's like April Fools. They all changed their avatars to Red Tail and started making jokes and stuff that were very similar to what Red Tail would make. And that was all fine and good. They kind of stayed to their own threads. Because you know how on the forums someone has a thread, and then there's like a group of 5 guys.
I just remember that one time there was that really like awful thing where there was remember the Lost doing that thing with the stocks, and then like every time someone asked what the price is going to be. That was interesting.
That wasn't necessarily an April Fool's thing. His project fell apart.
Yeah.
Oh,
but
April Fool's.
Like
April Fool's that we were talking about was
wasn't
way
getting
different.
the quality they wanted or anywhere close to it.
The problem is the shrink. It just doesn't, shrink is just not forgiving.
No. The other thing that was stupid about the April Fools was the code speak that was going on, and people just typing whatever they wanted to.
The
April Fools was a little weird.
Yeah, I think they used binary.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
I
a
don't
lot
remember
of
that
people
now.
got in trouble for just swearing and writing all kinds of crap in binary that the forum wouldn't necessarily block.
I just remember that there were people who... I remember, like, the week leading up to it, there was that group of people who were all kind of posting about what they were going to do. It was like 6 guys or something that were fairly talking about it, and it's like, they started doing it, I saw it in their threads, and it was like, alright, they were just, having fun. By the end of the day, though, there were people who, like, I never even seen on the forums before, who were taking the Red Tail avatar, and just absolutely just going after new
funny on
members.
April Fool's though when INJ like made that thread.
Yeah, there were a couple threads that were funny, but outside of it, there were guys like in the checking threads of various guys, like just beginner airsofters asking compression questions, ripping them apart. And it was like, all right, this has gone out of hand, because I remember seeing about a dozen different occasions where people just absolutely were like, it's like they were trying to murder the new members through posts, and it was terrible from what I saw. Thankfully, the mods cleaned it all up. I couldn't even find it the next day to quote some of it, but it was terrible overall. That's all I remember of April
So who was the
Fool's Day.
last person to leave?
Last one that I remember is
Apparently they
Marie.
were like doing all the talking. Yes.
Magpul was doing a fair bit of the talking during the Twitch questions.
Oh, we're talking about Twitch, not the forums. I thought we were talking about forum stuff and guys leaving the forum.
Oh, people leave and join the forum every day. It's impossible to keep track of.
Well, I'm just thinking of like the notable ones, the ones who post more than 50 times.
You know
Well,
what's weird?
notable
Like,
is like Legacy. He's barely on anymore.
Marine used
how
to be on a
about,
lot.
like,
No longer on.
who was that one guy? What was his name? Death Mechanic or something?
Yep.
Yeah.
He's going to trade school. I have him. He's a friend on Steam. We occasionally chat.
Or like
but-
pistols and MP5s?
This was an MP
Yes,
on a fair bit recently, but as far as like
he's been on and off recently. It's been on and off. But yeah, I have seen his presence there.
Death Mechanic just graduated.
Did he really? Interesting.
Yeah, he did.
It's so weird, like when you find out like who people actually are.
You just sit there. You're not just some person on the internet. You have a life.
Yeah, it's kind of like that with Shady. I know him in real life through. We've done quite a few build swaps back and forth. I built him a GMP. I still have to ship it back to him, but he's a pretty cool guy, and he's not at all what you would expect from his forum presence. It's
Yeah,
just interesting getting to see who people really are outside of a username.
I mean, I've seen his Facebook profile, so I have a rough idea of like
Yeah.
what he's but
Yeah, it's funny. The
funny
first
is that
guy.
he's not actually Andy Biersack in real life.
What now?
It's funny that he's like not actually Andy Biersack in real life because you get used to like seeing that.
Yeah. He actually had that as his profile picture on Facebook for a long time. That and the phone.
Now I'm cross-threading a screw. It's not going to end well. Nope, I've completely ruined the hole. Damn it.
Like, well, crap, I just ruined this.
I legitimately
I
have
think
a
that's
little bag of screws that weighs like half a pound that I pulled out of various airsoft guns. It's
I was
like,
about to take this hop up out, and then I realized that I taped it on, and I'm like debating whether it's worth taking off the tape because I know there was a reason I put the tape on.
do you remember the reason?
On Thursday, I believe that's when my tracking says, but you know, tracking can be off sometimes. I've got 6 new lipos coming in.
Wow.
I'm pretty thrilled. Two sticks for an MP5K, a tri-panel for a crane stock, it's an 11-1, and then I got 3 new PEC box 7.4s.
Here's my bag of screws. It's funny, I just
I hate
cleaned up
the
my
chargers for
tech.
lipos are like annoying to like find cheap. Like you can find them cheap, it's just like not consistent.
Hobby King all the way.
Even they still have some like stock issues. I've noticed there are products there that they're high volume products, but they'll go out of stock and it will still take 4 or 5 weeks for them to get back in stock.
Well, at least the U.S. products, they've got 2 warehouses that'll both ship to you. So, like the PEC
Yeah.
box batteries I was after were out of stock on the East Coast, so I just had to order them from the West Coast side.
I do like that they
sucks
now
is
have
that-
an East Coast warehouse that makes life like a lot easier for
Yeah, there was a time where there was just one, and then they separated it out, and now we have two. But it was nice either way. Waiting that month for that Swiss Air bullcrap from the international warehouse was getting old. It's like you'd order your
usually-
lipos in May, and you might get them by August.
Yeah, I basically never. I did my very best to not order anything from the international warehouse.
Yeah.
But what sucks is that they actually carry some really good stuff in the international one.
Yeah, I'm 2 purchases away from having their full access to all their ACM hollow sites.
How many purchases is that?
And you go platinum, and your system lets you have access to most of the airsoft stuff.
Can you say that again? It sounds like Piston Head is
Oh, hey, the
just
bell.
throwing his phone around, so I can't hear anything.
Dadgummit, Piston Head. Once you go platinum in their system, which is 10 purchases, they let you have access to most of the airsoft stuff. Right now, it's blocked off, and if you click on a product, it'll tell you that you need platinum level membership to get to that product.
Whose website did you say this was again?
HobbyKing.com?
Yeah, Hobby King.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Now I'm actually tempted to see if I could get someone to buy some batteries through me just so that I can inflate my purchase numbers, start buying EOTechs and turn them around on the forum. Because aren't they only like $50
40.
on there? $40? Yeah, no, you could sell them for 70 on the
Yeah.
forums.
Well, and I'm interested, I just want to get one, just to see what they really are and see if they're actually worth it. Because if they are, I mean, that's a $40 hollow site. I'll buy a bunch of those and stick them on everything.
I'll buy them just to sell them so I could buy more and then get to the point where I'm Breaking Bad this shit. That's what I see every time I see a
Are you gonna be
frog like that.
like Jared the Dragon?
The YouTuber?
Jerk 4.
Yeah, you're gonna be like
yeah.
him.
Hopefully.
You take orders.
Hopefully not.
You take
Hopefully
orders
not.
first before you buy the merchandise.
Say that again?
You take orders first before you buy the merchandise.
No, I have the merchandise on hand. So that as soon as someone orders, I can ship it out.
Sure you do.
That's what they all say.
So you're gonna go on the forum and post. You have about 40 of these things, and you need to sell them ASAP. 20% off.
Cash
Just wait.
only.
Takes about
6
8
That's
weeks to
it.
ship.
There was a guy that was doing that on Airsoft Society for a while. It was that he had some weird like Muppets avatar, but he had like loads of 5.53s and 5.52s.
You mean supposedly he had them?
Well, a lot of people actually bought them off of him, and I think he ran out and disappeared. It's like on to the next thing, but
Oh, you mean he really did? I thought you were joking.
oh no, I was for real.
Mm.
Like, I was actually kind of disappointed that he was gone because I was thinking about getting one, and by the time I actually made the decision to get one, he was long gone.
I might know who
Was he
you.
the same guy who would sell the like the fake pull sites for like 17 chips?
I wouldn't doubt it, but as far as I know, for sure, the only things that he sold were tan and black 5.53s and black 5.52s.
What about Cobra sites? I want to say
I couldn't justify selling sites for 7. I don't think I could do that. I mean, the fact that you can get like 2 sites for 14 chip from like DHgate, like that just, I don't know. Just seems kind of low to do that.
Well, hey man, if your customer is willing to buy it and doesn't want to have to go through the hassle of the international market, I mean,
I mean, hell, you put down the money. You had to wait your 2-3 months for the international company to finally ship you the product. You're saving them that end. Plus,
I guess
your
there are plenty
your
of people
guy was rep.
who do that sort of thing. I mean,
It's also, I mean,
and I'm sure we can
I
all
need
think
money
of
for
a
Airsoft.
product that is
I'll
probably
do it.
way overpriced. That
Yeah.
a lot of people pay money for.
well, hell, I mean, if you've looked at
Although
the
to be
forums,
fair, a lot of
magnified
research
EOTech,
apparently was done. At least I've heard supposedly that a lot of research was done for that.
if you looked at the forum classifieds, magnified ACOG sites have just taken off in price. Like they used to be, you could nag one used, 65, $70 shipped.
And I wonder what
Now
the next
people are selling them.
accuracy modification is going to be.
Now they're being sold for like $100. I know Wingman was disappointed because he wanted to get one, but the prices start skyrocketing.
Well, don't the zoomed ACOGs have terrible eye relief?
I don't know. It's just everyone wants one now. So I mean, the prices went up $20-$30.
Well, I mean, if you got a spare 2 seconds sometime, go look at the international page for Hobby King in the Airsoft section and look at the accessories. They've got almost 2 pages full of sites that are like under $60.
They have a short dot site as well.
They do have a short dot. It's kind of a funky one though. I wouldn't get it. I would get one stateside, but they do have hollows. They've got T1s, ACOGs. I think they might even have an E-clan or two. But they've got all colors of the hollow sites.
Yeah. Alright, my RPK is done. Let's put back together. The motor sounds so much better.
Nice.
And I replaced the hop-up nut, which I was able to do without taking the entire front end apart, which I'm happy about that. Not sure how I have to adjust the hop-up for this new nub, because I just kind of cut a nub and dropped it in the hop-up and closed it up and called it good.
Gotta go out to shooting day.
Well, it's dark out here, so I'll do it in the morning.
Use some glow-in-the-dark BBs.
Not too cheap.
Extra rounds.
So how did they find the Twitch channel, guys?
Magic.
You
I know
can
Piston
search
had said he
Airsoft,
just looked up Airsoft. Yeah.
and it's in there.
Yeah, apparently he said that there's like only 1 or 2. Piston had said that there were 1 or
So
2
are there
streams.
people in the Twitch channel right now?
There's one other person. There were multiple other people, but they left.
They got bored of us bashing retailers.
Does anyone know who the OE for Cybergun is?
Depends
Cybergun's
on
a licensing.
I don't know. I had this M4 from them once, and like it has this barrel that is supposedly brass. Like it looks like brass, but it's really, really light.
Could be colored aluminum.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as Cybergun goes, they license everything from clear spring pistols to I think they license some of the SIGs.
Oh, I meant like Cybergun, like their LPEGs.
Oh, nobody really.
No one knows, I guess.
Just whatever outfit they came out of in China.
Yeah, I mean, the only LPEG I know of is the Double Eagle M83, which for an LPEG, $30, it's pretty decent. It's so funny, I ran one of those because I had mine, I chopped it down to a pistol, and I ran it at the local CQB
Oh,
Oh,
field.
what? This isn't flat hopped?
It was so funny taking out guys with, like, GMP
Yeah,
high
not
rate of
really
fire
isn't
guns and all
flat
that.
hopped.
It was amazing.
Has anyone
One of
here
the
tried to
best-
save one of those little LPEGs?
Well, I was so hoping to keep it around, but then the entire trigger mechanism broke, and I was
Oh
threw
shit!
the whole thing away. I actually have no, I threw my friend gave me one that my brother had, but it might have been thrown away because it was like at
So
the
that guy
time it was
held
just
up a
like
while ago and said it was done, like still isn't feeding. But fortunately, the spot that like INJ apparently like broke, like gives a perfect window to where the hop up meets the magazine, so it's really easy to troubleshoot this.
The airsoft gods have smiled upon you. They've deemed that your sacrifice has been paid in enough blood.
What in
They
tears?
granted you this one
Tears.
respite.
One
No,
of
not.
the teams on the market was that dual power MP5, the H&K licensed.
Oh yeah.
It's like almost $100 and it ran off double A's. It was like, are you serious? Y'all are screwing people with this thing. And running
People
away.
People
My
bought.
brother got one. It was a total piece of trash.
I know the first airsoft war I went to back when we were using LPEGs. One of the guys we were playing with had one of those
So it's
Crossman
just shot with your
C11
gun, and
pistols.
it makes a thump sound after every shot.
I actually had one of the C11s.
Everyone thought it was so
God.
cool. Oh, it shot 400 feet per second. Everyone was so
The
scared.
nub just went through the bucking. What?
How much hop are you looking to apply?
The C11s, though, they dropped mags like nobody's business. You barely had to touch the mag release.
Yeah, all I know is
Well, that was an M nub.
that. So, what should the title of this video be? That was an M nub. What was the other one we were talking about?
Hit.
I got hit was better.
I'm
Oh, yeah.
hit.
Took a hit for the T.
In Soviet Russia, you hit the BB.
What do you use? There's a 6.01 when I hit my BBs.
Actually, isn't it probably very poisonous at that time to be snorting it? It probably would make you. It probably would make you high, and it probably would kill you at some point. You did enough of it.
Run around in the instant death area.
No one's ever been killed by a BB being shot at them, but someone has been killed by a hit of a BB.
I thought you were gonna say no one's been killed by being
If they're
shot
bio
by,
BBs, they might not
by
be
an
so
airsoft
bad.
gun, but they've been killed by shooting a BB gun. No, by shooting a BB.
Shooting up a BB.
Yes.
And fees. Okay. Well, I get an extra Lonex hop-up that I can give my friend to put in his D-Boys Lancer Tactical.
And then you try to, light it on fire, and that plastic. That's pretty bad.
This is amazing. This is, up there with all of our podcasts tech sessions we've done, and how I rate them. First one, the top two go to the 6L LiPo ones. Then this is definitely a third. This is definitely number 3 on my top 5 list.
It was my idea.
Well, and depending on what
It's an
kind of
amazing one.
what kind of feel you wanted, you could go to the sporting goods store and get like translucent green, translucent red, maybe some orange if you're lucky.
I actually have a couple thousand bright orange BBs. They came with a cheap Springer shotgun I bought years ago in my LPEG days. The BBs were so bad they were still attached to molding in some cases. They had pimples on them. They had divots. Terrible.
I could see you, placing the BBs on your tech bench, taking your hammer and just smashing them all up, and then grabbing your paper and start making cigarettes out of them too.
No,
It's
no,
like,
you just take the
jeez.
6.03 barrel and just.
Your barrel is your pipe. Look at that. The product fits perfectly in the pipe.
Now I need to make a series of video, a series of pictures, and post it. Where it's just a pile of BBs.
I call
Get my
my hits,
hammer.
man. I call my hits, man.
I'm gonna
I'm
do that
so
tomorrow. You're gonna
hit.
see a series of
I'm
pictures.
so hit.
Oh my thread. And it would just be I call my hits.
You have to put the BBs on the table and start smashing them all. You know,
Yeah.
and then just make a nice little mound and get ready. Just don't really snort it in, because I'm pretty sure that stuff is poisonous.
I won't, but it'll just be a series of pictures. You'll just see the BBs, a hammer breaking them up, barrel stuck on them, and then less of a pile.
Just use bios.
If you really wanted to get creative, you could get those camo BBs.
I remember back in the day, me and my friend were rocking Springers. That was legitimately like, we wanted to buy the camo ones, but they're like $3 more expensive than the regular yellow ones, and neither of us wanted to spend the money on them because it was like 5,000 yellow ones for $8 or $11 for 5,000 camo. It was looking back at those days, it was just like, I'm so glad I found teching.
When was your typical moment change? Like for me and my friend group, we all had Springers. There was one CO2 non-blowback in the mix, but one day somebody jumped up to .2s and the game changed. All of a sudden, everything was accurate, and we started getting automatics, and then the game changed again, and the ones who were serious kept going, and the ones who weren't dropped out.
For me, it was when I got a combat machine, because that was the time where it's like Airsoft. You know what? I really like the whole concept of it. I want a gun that works.
Yeah.
And yeah, I got a combat machine, and then I realized I got a combat machine, and then I had to tech. So I looked up Airsoft Team Kilo tech videos.
Oh Lord!
Learned how to disassemble a gun.
Sponsored by.
Finally, started shimming. Found the Airsoft Society website. Realized that out of that Airsoft Sniper form, was like, all right, no, I'm not going to do any sniping. Airsoft Retreat didn't really catch my fancy, so I worked on Airsoft Society without an account for like 6 months. Then I made an account, and you can look at my tech thread for everything since then.
My first Airsoft Society was right after I had my first AEG. It was an Airsoft GI G4. It was the A3 model, so it had a crane stock, rear wired, with an Olympic Arms rail system on the front. And it had a Neo motor in it, because they put those in their G4s at the time. And that sucker was a champ until I broke the blowback. One of the little washers that sits behind the plunger for the G&G blowback broke, so the plunger just seated deep inside that upper cylinder. So basically, I had a port at the front of the cylinder, and I was getting like 230 FPS. I'd brought it to a CQB arena thinking I wasn't going to be able to use it, and I ended up being able to because the FPS was so low. But ended up bringing it back to my house and tore it apart, not knowing like having a clue what I was doing. Ended up making an account on Airsoft Society, and 3 painful months later acquired a broken JG and made like a bastard love child of the two. And that became the first AG that I had built. And it was terrible at the time, but it was something because it worked.
I don't even remember my first, to be honest. I've done so many of them.
That line can be used in several non-airsoft situations. I call my hit.
I'm so hit right now, I can't tell you. So many times. No, but seriously, I don't really remember my first time.
This is gold right now.
This joke has to continue.
I don't want to leave because I don't want to miss out on any more of these moments. So Zach, you're saying that this is archive. This is going to be archived on Twitch, so it can
Yeah,
be linked.
yeah, it can. I think it stays there for 30 days. I don't know for sure. May want to try to get a copy of it before it's removed. I don't know.
Well, hopefully by then, have some form of recording software distributed through Dropbox or something like that, and someone will be able to. So we can.
I should be able to
At least-
download from Twitch somehow. I'm sure there's a program to do it. I'd have to look it up, figure it out.
Yeah, if anything, it'd be good to just have a backup or something. So if I ever decide to put these on YouTube, stockpile like 30 of these.
Well, right now we're pushing 2 hours. Nobody's gonna listen to all that.
3 hours, 3:30.
Okay, 2 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, 3 hours and 40 minutes almost, right?
Lord.
Actually, yeah. Put the
Look,
call out at
If
5:56.
you can watch a graduation video for 3 hours, you can watch this video for 3 hours.
Much more
If you can
entertaining.
No, StarCraft, a 3-hour StarCraft tournament is more entertaining than this. I will have to say that, but
I think I hopped on here kind of late. I think I've only been here for 2 hours.
yeah, you did hop on a little late. But yeah, I put the call out at 5:56. Wingman and I spent 5 minutes because one of us would answer, the other one would drop off. They'll answer, Gmail will kick the other one off, and it was back and forth until a third person joined.
Gosh.
Well, you could always
I think it's
video
hilarious that
edit.
Twitch started gifts.
You could video edit the. I keep seeing Bert coming in and going, but you could video edit the video, and then put that on YouTube. You know, just get the best parts cut off and put them in there.
That would be
So
simple.
none
Have a
of the devices to hook up to this are working, so I guess I'm just gonna have to use my phone for the moment.
I know, doesn't YouTube have a built-in video editor or something like that?
They have a video editing app.
Hmm.
It's decent for basic stuff, but if you're going to do a lot of trimming, it's not worth it.
Don't
I have-
self-stabilize.
I have a copy of Sony Vegas, like 6 or something.
Well,
Like I
that'll
was
do it.
6? That's like. I didn't even know they make a 6, because aren't they on like 12 or something like that?
It's an old-ass one. It's old.
Back when Windows and X.
This was my
Windows
sister
98
got
or
it
something?
back when my sister got it back when Windows still shipped with a decent Windows Movie Editor. Like Windows Movie
Windows-
Editor,
Glass.
Wow,
Windows
man.
Movie Editor used to be like you put clips in and you could trim them down. You had a different audio layer. Now it's just you put pictures and sound, and that's it. Windows Movie Editor sucks now. It used to be really good for being
Doc
included
one
in
for
Windows.
Mac is
There's
pretty
no
decent.
good free video editors anymore. I mean, like, the only thing I need to do is trim and cut clips together, and I can't find a single video editor that does that.
If you have a Mac, Movie Maker is pretty easy to use, and it does most
Yeah.
of that.
Well,
It's fine. I'm double booting on a Mac, and yet I complain about how I don't have so many programs for shit, but they're all on the Mac side. It's just...
Well, I've used Movie Maker to edit in some of the drum covers I've done over the years, and the last YouTube video I did. It was fairly simple, and the only problem is you always have that problem of import-export versions, and that some things don't like to be read by other programs.
Yeah, the GoPro the GoPro editor, which I had used for several of my YouTube videos, it's pretty good for being a free program. It's pretty good. It lets you modify audio. It lets you overlay audio onto video files. Lets you add some text in there. Let you tune the video. My problem is that since I download the recent update, it crashes every 30 minutes, and it takes like an hour. I have a 45-minute video full-length video of the last game I went to. It takes about an hour for that to be rendered out.
That's a bit.
The program likes to only stay open for half an hour, though, so there's major issues.
Yeah, I still need to get a rail adapter for my Contour, because the only reason I bought the Contour was because Note posted up that link for $25 on eBay, and I'm like, well, what the heck, why not?
Yeah, that's a no-brainer.
I didn't even need one. I haven't used it yet. I bought the head strap, and that doesn't work, so I'm going to get the RIS adapter and see how it works there.
The only problem with mounting the camera on the gun is that the image moves around a huge amount, and the only good bits that you can get from the camera are when you're actually pointing and shooting.
Yeah, other than that, you've got a lot of footage of the ground and the sky.
Well, my reasoning is, if I mount the camera on the gun, it's better than not using the camera.
Or you could get a helmet mount.
But
Which requires a helmet.
I hate helmets so much. And I also have to find one that fits my extra large sized head. So
I love mine because I like to play rough, and when my GoPro battery died last time I was playing at the field, I took the GoPro off my helmet, so now that I had $300 off of my head, there was one point where I threw myself across the street, sprinting, and I only stopped because I full body slammed into a building. And knocked my noggin pretty hard, but I had a helmet on, so it didn't faze me. I started clearing rooms.
I mean, I've smacked into stuff with my head before too, but I kind of have a thick skull, so it really doesn't bother me much. Like, okay, we have one of those buildings that is basically just 2x4s that they use to make a little frame, essentially, and put up some plywood.
Yeah,
it's basically your basic little small room. Well, to make the door, they just left an opening in the top of in one of the walls. And so there's a board that goes over that opening, probably about a half-inch lower than my total height.
Oh, Lord.
So I was running and ran straight into that door and scraped that board with the top of my head.
That always sucks.
That's the only time I've ever wished I had a helmet.
I'm sick right now because I've done that multiple times, like getting out from underneath my truck when I would work on it. I would just hit my head on something, and it's just that very top, like you were talking about, and it just scrapes, and my head hurts just thinking about it.
Yeah, it's just like you want to stand up and just do something to avoid.
It's amazing how much force is behind your body when you're doing a movement like that. You think of it like, oh, it's fairly easy. Then you hit something unexpectedly, and you realize how much force is behind your body.
I've gotten really good at not hitting my head on things over the years.
Not here. I was doing work on underneath some tables at one of my parents' friends' office, getting some cubicles put together. I crawled it underneath like 4 separate tables. I whacked my head on all but one.
Nice.
Just at the end of the day, I just kind of sat there.
Skating.
Helmets are nice. I have a fast helmet. I've only worn it once just because I don't like how it fits. But no joke, that day I took the most headshots out of all the other times I've played collectively. It was so nice not getting shot in the skull.
I don't get shot in the head. I get shot in the ears. Like, on a regular basis, people shoot me in the ears. I don't know why that's just a target for me.
Well, I know at playing CQB, I don't necessarily armor up because of all of the BBs people are throwing at you, but I have a helmet. I need to really upgrade to the full head steel mask, but I got one of those mesh mask, full seal goggles, and I need to protect my ears somehow. But I armor up my head pretty well because there have been times where I only expose my head to minimize the target, and I can get lit up pretty well because someone's running their 45 or 60 round per second DSG and they just want to unload on someone. So,
yeah, I mean,
other than that, I run t-shirts and my chest rig. For the longest time, I had a chest rig that had an exposed. It was more like it was kind of like a pre-set up battle belt, like the NC Star chest rig, how it's kind of like a belt setup with suspenders on it.
Oh,
And I
the
would just run
glories.
t-shirts. And I got lit up in the chest one day so much, like 5 people just started lighting me up on full auto. It hurt so bad.
Usually, as
And
far as
honestly,
that goes,
taken any that I think were considerably bad. I've never had a BB go into my skin, and that's enough to make me happy.
yeah,
I've had
never
that
had
happen.
So count that as
Well, speaking of BBs, I'm still there's a big I have an open wound about the size of a BB where it just took off a huge chunk of skin about a week and a half ago. One time on the other arm, it's funny, like a mirror image of it. One BB hit, and I literally had a bruise. It took 3 days for the bruise to fully develop, but it must have been about 4.5 inches across in this big circle, black and yellow around where the BB hit. I've taken hits on my shoulder through my shirt that made me bleed. But I play CQB, so I know a lot of you guys play field.
I've never done CQB. I want to try it. I know we're building funds to build a full shoot house on our field, so it'll be kinda like it, kind of small though. So just based
overall.
Figured out.
Well, at least here in South Carolina, there's only one local place to do CQB, and the owners are terrible, and it's horribly reffed, and almost completely filled out with 12-year-olds.
Codsoft, that's what CQB is.
You gotta be careful of that.
I'll stick with woods.
I was where was it? I was up in Stockton. I went up there to, what was that place called?
CQB City?
CQB City. And they had some youngsters. There was one youngster behind somebody, and he turned around and he got shot point blank in the face. And he was so pissed off from his own ally, because it was a young kid. He was so pissed off, he just threw his helmet down and he said, "Why do they let kids like this play?" I mean, can you imagine turning around and getting shot point blank in the face by your ally? Just turning around.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not getting up, you're not moving anywhere, you're just turning your head around to look behind you, and boom, you get shot right in the face.
Sounds like Planet
When I was up by those 6 guys, they were all my allies because I had taken a group of buildings that they thought were holding like half a dozen Op 4. It was only one dude. I took him out with a bang kill, stepped out of the building to signal to them it was clear. Underestimating how many guys had guns trained on that building. I have it on a GoPro clip. I have to post that video because it's me stepping out of a building trying to signal them, and then 5 seconds later I'm on my knees in pain. It was
the last larger event that I went to. Well, actually, not the last one. The last one I went to was a BB Wars event, and I didn't really enjoy it. The one that our team hosted locally and got around 80 people to show up. We actually did the old style call outs where everyone at the beginning chooses a word and then you reply with some randomized word to that.
Challenge word?
Yeah, a challenge word. I think ours was you called out filthy and then we replied angel. I think that was the last one that we did. And it worked really, really well. Like, surprisingly well.
Well, at the field, they separate us into red and green teams. And the only problem with that is usually there have been tons of guys who will, like, walk up to you. They're usually the guys running pistols, pistols only. And it's like, oh, red team, green team? Yeah. They have their gun by their side. They just whip it up, blast 3 guys, and take off running. And it's like, it's really cheap a lot of times what I see going on at the CQB, just in the individual player tactics, especially when they try doing the challenge words. That's why I just have a shoot on sight principle. It's just, if I can't positively identify him, I just put a couple rounds in him.
That's the other thing.
Yeah, most of the time when we would do the challenge words, it was when we already had guns trained on somebody, ready to shoot them if they didn't reply quick enough. And we would shoot teammates who wouldn't reply within a few seconds and then say, well, you should have yelled out the answer faster than write it on your arm or something.
Note by heart.
The thing with the field near my house is they'd separate teams by tying a handkerchief on people's arms, and they're usually like tan or green, so you can't see jack squat in the dark. Like, you're just better off shooting everybody.
Yeah, the CQB field for a while with red and green teams, they separated them by tape on the arms, fluorescent tape, and it'll be just about like on your bicep, one on each bicep, and then a big strip across your back. Then they cut down to only marking red team, and I'm not sure if they even marked red team last time I was there. It was just you kind of knew what you were doing.
Yeah, that's what we typically do for our trigger days. Is just I think it's duct tape that we use, and you just tape both arms. But really, the way to tell is just based on knowing the field and following your teammates' movements, because it's the easiest way to tell when an enemy is coming at you or teammates coming at you. Is paying attention to where your teammates are.
As far as outdoor events, the people that post them usually divide us by green and tan. Makes it really easy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm talking about our standard trigger days, not a huge hosted event, just our normal come out and shoot days where people can wear whatever the heck they want.
Around here, the bigger op days, usually it's civilian versus military. So, I mean, if you walk out there in jeans and a t-shirt, or if you do a very well-done civilian kit, you're usually against everybody in camis. It makes it really easy that way as well.
Oh yeah, let's get this. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Well, the other problem with doing something like that at this field is that here in Cali, there's typically a little higher disposable income. Everyone buys multicam. Everyone. So I walked to the field, and just last time I went, Patriot, the guy with the big barrel on his Polar Star, he's wearing multicam. We run across the team of half a dozen guys wearing multicam. Half the green team that I was on was wearing multicam. Half the red team was wearing multicam. It's like, all right, this is separating by people by camos. It would never work in a situation like this.
Yeah.
I was still surprised, though, that we still won 3 out of 4 games, even though we were getting our asses kicked. We just had someone brought their little scale model of the map and whatnot, so we could use it for tactical planning. That was amazing.
Awesome. Yeah, the last event that I went to that I enjoyed, I've only been to 2 decent-sized events, was a South American Blitz 5 was what it was called. There were 5 teams.
Oh, Lord.
Different camis. So we had the Medellin Cartel, which was gray top. We had North Valley Central, which was tan or brown top. We had the Black Eagles, that was full black. Southcom Uniform, which is what I was, that was a multicam R or Marpat Woodland top. Then we had the FARC, which was M81 top with yellow armbands.
FARC sounds terrible.
It stands for something.
Okay.
I can't remember what it stands for, though. So that was fun. The thing is, it wasn't really, it was very much role-play style. You know, we weren't shoot on sight. Our ROE wasn't shoot on sight. We were actually considered the quote-unquote good guys. Really wasn't any good guys in this one, but we were the closest thing to good guys, so we were supposed to have, or we had the most numbers, but we didn't engage unless fired upon.
Ugh.
So it was really, really fun, and I can't wait till they do the next one, because I honestly enjoyed that with 80 people more than I did the BB Wars game with 500 people that I went to.
Yeah, I know. It's my yesterday, I tried going to the field with a friend, and apparently E-Fike was hosting an event then, and there must have been 150, close to 200 people there, from what I saw, and this was before they even started for the day. I'm just saying, I mean, sure, the place is 175,000 square feet. Once there's more than 70 people on the field, it gets to be a madhouse. It's just too many guns poking out of too many corners. The only way for you to advance is to get a dozen dudes to just sprint down the street and see how much ground you can cover before getting shot.
Yeah, I mean, the place we were playing at with the 80 people was huge and probably one of the coolest fields I've ever seen.
Am I muted from everybody?
Yeah, for field play, I know where a lot of them are on like 15-acre fields. I know CQB City has a outdoor field like right next to it that's 21 acres.
Why was I muted?
like
I
20
didn't do anything.
Well, CQB's outdoor field is like 20 acres or something, and I mean, I'm sure you could fit 200 people on that one just fine. But the indoor CQB arenas, and I mean, I saw a video from Airsoft GI's last major event that they held up here at a combat zone. It was 250 people showed up that day. Watching video of it, it was like when you open an anthill and you see all the ants running around. I mean, there were 5 guys shooting out from one corner, and it's like, that doesn't look fun at all.
The outdoor place around here, whenever we host a big game, they open up the whole field. Like the field itself, it's Red Fox Games, and they have 15 or so individual fields on their property. But when they open the whole place up, it's almost 60 acres across the entire thing. So you split up 80 people on 60 acres. You're going to have spotty engagement at best and a lot of stealth movement.
Hell, you could have an entire team just march down the map, and there's a good chance that they aren't going to be seen.
Yeah. Well, there was one game I went to. It was the anniversary game for the State Forum that usually hosts the games in the first place, but it was at a different field down south near Columbia, and it was a 24-hour game, so night ops were a thing. Well, getting into the evening, some people started leaving, others started setting up camp, so the numbers dwindled. But, during the day, our team was holding points. Like, we were doing objectives and all that. Well, during the night, the tan team just marched around because all the green guys were either out cold or in so small squads they couldn't do anything about it. So tan just marched around the field, not even worrying about getting shot. And even into the mid-morning they were doing that until green finally started coming back, and we ended up losing that game because of that.
That's where I'd be that one dude who just decides to just head out there and just take pot shots at everyone.
Yeah, it's just they had the sheer numbers that they could just walk in the open, and the green could never even dream of catching up just because there's so much ground to cover. Especially in the dark, where, a flashlight risks you getting shot.
Yeah, at the CQB field, they've done games where they've closed up the warehouse and it's like pitch black except for like 3 sunlights. And there are guys, they'll run around with flashlights. They just get lit up, and by halfway through the game, the only guys running flashlights are the ones who have the pressure pads and the momentary switches. And those night games are fun. It's also really fun. Last time they had one when I was there, Caltrans was doing work on the freeway near the exit, so a lot of people didn't get there. Game started late, but it was like 35 people on the field that day. And I remember me and my friend, we go around one side, just walking all the way around the field, almost to the other team's respawn, before we see anyone else on the other team. And we're sitting there, we can't see each other's armbands. Yeah, we see a squad of the enemy guys, and they're sitting there. It's like, oh, is it clear down there? And we're like, yeah, it's clear. Yeah. I'm looking over at my friend. He's raising his gun. No. Yeah, it's clear. Don't shoot. They finally start walking towards us. I look at my friend, and it's that look where it's like, it's time. Then we hosed down 6 guys, and then took off sprinting down towards their respawn. We got like 10, 15 guys in total before they finally realized that the guys on their left flank weren't friendlies. It was amazing.
one of the funniest things I saw was at that night game. It was that 24-hour game again, and we were trying to take this fort in the middle of this wide open field, and my team Alpha had split up into two groups, and we ended up shooting at each other in the dark because we had no communication going on. But then Alpha came in. One of their guys had Gen 3 night vision and was using a DSG with a tracer unit. So he was tearing up house. Alpha proceeds to take the hill. I sneak out on my stomach and end up drawing down on some of my teammates that snuck up on me, and we ended up communicating enough to determine we were on the same team. Out of nowhere, there's all kinds of screaming coming from the bunker that we're feet away from. It's almost like out of a zombie or horror movie or something. And just a couple minutes later, you just hear all these crazy gunshots going off. And lights go on, game over is announced, and this dude with a ninja sword is just standing there. It's a plastic one, but he had run around and was getting melee kills like crazy in the dark. And people didn't know what was going on. It's like, what's this dude with a sword doing? He's just running around getting melee kills all night.
That would actually be a great situation where if I had a full suit of Space Marine armor, don that, pull out a power sword, run into battle with just a sword and a big-ass banner.
Yeah, I'm sure that thing wouldn't be noisy at all or anything. Just a bunch of materials trying to rub up against each other as you run.
I have the Emperor's divine will on my side. I will not falter. And I'm actually seriously considering going down to the local game shop and playing Dungeons and Dragons this Wednesday. So, new chapter in my life. Either it's a new low or a new high. I can't figure out which one.
I'm on
Well, gentlemen,
card sticker right now. Go ahead,
it was
whoever.
fun. I think I'm gonna sign off for the night.
I feel like I'm approaching that time too, mostly because I'm hungry.
The need for food.
We've been at it almost 4 hours.
Yeah,
Well,
that's a while for you guys. Goodness.
Hit me, baby, one more time.
Hey, there's a pixel I've noticed on my camera. Not my camera, but I mean on my shot. Somebody drew a little pixel, like right next to my beard, and I haven't figured out how to get rid of it.
The person who drew it has to get rid of it. That's the unfortunate thing.
I don't remember how you got rid of stuff that draws on your screen.
How do you
'Cause I
draw
remember-
on somebody's screen?
I don't know. I don't have the chat.
Sure, available on.
I tried and I couldn't figure it out. I clicked the draw and it wouldn't even let me draw. It was weird.
There's a bunch of stuff drawn on that other guy's screen. I forget whose.
It was Magpul.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
Magpul.
cool. Okay.
Yeah, somebody outlined a bunch of stuff on his desk.
Last week it was he had death at his window. B&B drew a little reaper in his window.
Anyway, I'll probably be on next Sunday because this was highly enjoyable.
Yeah, especially if we get them on Twitch, just so that we could have a reference for all these tech updates.
Yeah. Hopefully I'll have that FAL fixed by then.
Yeah, I mean, my P90 still, it was having misfeeding issues. I'm not checking right now. I don't have anything I feel like working on.
Yeah.
Why don't you
I'm
send
bored
it, send it to me then?
I think I want to try a little bit more before I get
You
too
can pay me.
desperate.
You can pay me with a bag of BBs.
Does it
Hey, I have about
6.01 barrel?
5,000 right now.
I don't think John knows what we mean.
Were you here for the whole the whole BB conversation we had earlier, John? Milsim.
Yeah,
That's
I forget that my username is John. No, I didn't come on till like an hour ago at 11 or like 11:30 because I said I was going to be on around 9 and then set my alarm for 9 and then woke up at 11. So,
Well, I forget who started. Zachos started it, but it was I can't remember. David, I can't remember how it started, but it was basically
I was blowing my nose.
yes. Piston was blowing his nose, and then Zachos made a joke that it was basically BBs were drugs, and you don't have a problem calling your hits. Like, taking a hit from a drug, and it spiraled downward from there, and it ended up you now crush the BBs and snort them through a tight bore barrel. So that's where we're at with the joke so far.
well, I mean, I would figure that you put the BBs in the hop chamber and then you light the other end of the barrel, right, and use it like a smoke pipe.
Now we're getting somewhere.
You have to light the fucking on fire so it kind of smolders in there.
No, what you do, you have the so you put so you have the barrel, the muzzle kind of end of the barrel. You smoke from there. You have the feed chamber, the feed tube upwards, and the lighter at the very end where the air nozzle goes in, and you just the BBs, everything. You just suck it all in, like one big pipe.
You can mix brands too.
There's a series of photos related to this, just like no captions, just photos, and then I'm gonna get banned from Airsoft. The next going down.
Taking
Get
hits
some of
off.
those.
I
got
got
those silica
I got
.27s
hit.
with some, Crossman BBs.
Get the red ones in there for extra kick. Green ones have a lot of flavor.
I got hit over the weekend, guys.
I need to get a patch made that says I took a hit from the T.
And then it has like
I
a
had to
little
mute my microphone for like 2 minutes because I was just laughing so hard. I was just crying.
Does anyone know? I know on the Airsoft Society, one of the ads there are for a company that does custom PVC patches. Wonder how much it would cost to make like 20 of those that say I took a hit for the T. Because I would legitimately wear
Not if
that.
everyone chipped in. I mean, they did the Team Cambodia patches.
I would legitimately, like, or at the very least organize, at the most pay for like 20 or 25 of those. So as people participate in the tech sessions, I could send them out.
Yeah.
10 out of 10 were there.
That would be the great thing. It's like I could go to the local field and they would have no idea what the hell it means.
Golly.
Just be one of those patches.
Well, guys, I think I'm gonna call it for night. Gonna stop the Twitch
Yeah.
channel too.
Also getting to the point where everything's funny. So late
Yeah.
night loopy.
For next week.
Yeah. Although this is pretty well, no, it was at 1 a.m. when I thought of the 6L LiPo build. Still waiting on my next great inspiration for a build.
I was surprised we had this many people on back when I get on, or whenever I got on at 11:30. 11:30 for me.
Well, we had tech questions too when you weren't here from Twitch.
Yeah. Zachos has been streaming on Twitch the entire time, so one, it should be archived. I need to find the Zach. Can you send me a copy of the link? The Twitch
Yeah, it's
video.
gonna take some time. The video doesn't get posted in archive until after it streams through. So I don't know when
Wait,
that
you
will be
can
done.
stream this kind of stuff? I thought it was strictly for gaming content.
Well, you can stream whatever
Nope.
you want.
Oh, I could have sworn Twitch like cracked down on people not doing game streams and whatnot.
I don't know about that. I mean, there were people already coming in. I never read anything that said you can't stream non-games. I think people stream whatever they want there.
Yeah, I know. I want to say that I know they did crackdown on something, but I want to say it was for like adult content related stuff because Twitch finally got to the point where it was big enough where everyone kind of knew what was going on the website, so they really had to PR. I remember that was a few years ago. If I remember correctly, the last time they did a major cleanup on the website. Then they were also bought by Amazon a few months, like last winter or something. It was like November.
I wouldn't be surprised if they were bought by Google, because Google buys everything.
No, it was rumored that Google was going to buy them and kind of merge it into YouTube's service, but I know there was also talk at that time of people saying that because the existing laws regarding monopoly and how things need to be set up, it was like supposedly it was illegal because it would then qualify as Google owning. Google would own the super majority in streaming online content on demand, something like that, and then Amazon stepped in and said, "No, we're buying them." Paid like $2.1